like to give everybody out there listening a very warm Whitecat welcome, because you're tuned in to the Whitecat Outdoors podcast. What is going on, everybody? We are recording the 8th episode now of the Whitecat Outdoors podcast, so thanks for tuning in for all 8 episodes. If you're a repeat listener, if not, if it's your first time, we appreciate you finding us. You could have found us on Instagram, maybe, at Whitecat Outdoors. Maybe you found us on Facebook. But however you found us, we appreciate you finding us. And tell all your friends you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. All the podcasts are on, all the podcasts are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, obviously, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio and Podbean. So keep listening. We appreciate you guys. In the studio today, you got your boy White right here. And straight across from me, we got, he was our host hot seat last week. So if you haven't listened to that one, go tune back in. You got to know him real well. It's Tommy the Cat.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
And over here to my right, we got the ruler of the podcast realm over here in our neck of the woods. It's Nick Soboleski.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
And we have a very, very special guest for all of you guys this week. He's a very good friend of ours. We've known him our whole lives. He's our small game specialist, Jared Letfly Larsen.
How you guys doing?
Jesus! Pick up your phone! What are you doing?
My phone is
It's in case, don't worry. It's fine.
So for everybody listening, we just had a Pabst Blue Ribbon explode.
Call that a Pabst bomb.
That's a danger Pabst right there.
That one is dangerous.
That's nice.
Would you happen to have a towel?
I can go get you a towel, buddy.
Yeah, why don't you go
Nick,
ahead?
why don't you take over for a minute? I'm going to go get a towel.
I'll just, Jared's going to Zamboni it for everybody on the podcast.
I'm not gonna do
That
that.
means take it up the nostril.
Take it up the nose. No
Up
way,
the-
man.
Okay,
That's too much.
so that was
Wow.
Letfly, everybody. Mr. Jared
Yeah,
Larsen.
I'm Jared
give him-
Larsen.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. He drinks PBRs. That's the first one of the night. And Frank's back with one single napkin.
One single napkin. Thanks,
We're going to need a
bud.
few of those. That's, Jared, I want to congratulate you. That is the first spilled beer on the podcast.
Does that count as a spill? I mean, it kind of exploded.
I mean, the can is upright, and it was more of an explosion, so we'll just call it first can explosion.
I totally kept it together, but I had no control over the beer exploding.
Had no control. The beer has its own mind.
Wow, that's a lot of beer. I don't know what happened.
Well,
I think you lost half of it right there.
he still has like 20 ounces, though. We started a new thing last week where our
That's
guests have to start the podcast with a 24-ouncer.
Why is
Man, this thing is off to a great start. Still good?
Still tastes like a Pabst?
Oh God, yeah. We're
That's
good.
what we like to hear.
Yeah.
We're good.
Well, while we're sitting here, getting everything situated, I'm looking out the window of Frank's house, and out at the corn feeder, we'll count them, 5 white-tailed deer eating corn. That's pretty cool. Kind of gets you in the mood for doing an outdoors podcast, looking at some deer.
They're just out there doing deer things.
And believe it or not, they are all booners. Even the does.
Well, they're all does, so.
There's,
Like I said, even the does.
if you check the back of Boone and Crockett's book, there is a Booner Doe section. Not many people know about it, but
It's a little PS at the very last page. I think it's on the cover, like the back cover.
yeah, Booner
Right
Doe's.
by, what is that, the blurb? Maybe the blurb's
The
on
index?
the inside cover. I'm not quite sure.
What? I've never even heard of a blurb.
It's just, it gives a little intel about what you're getting ready to read.
You mean the synopsis?
No.
It's not even close to a blurb.
It's definitely the blurb.
Did you make that word up?
No. All right, it looks like Jared is
Hey
About-
guys.
pretty
got,
well.
got yourself cleaned up?
He's
We're
over there.
getting
All
there.
right, all right, all right.
If you didn't want to do the podcast, you could have just said so.
You know, I wanted to do the podcast, and all I wanted to do was have a PBR. Tall boy.
And you're having one.
I'm
it's-
having
it-
what's left of one. Yeah, that was bad. With it, too bad you didn't have that camera going, because that'd have been a good
See,
one.
this is exactly why we've had requests to record the podcast, because they want to feel like they're sitting at the table with us,
Tell
which
you,
is what we're trying
It's
to do.
coming soon.
You don't want to feel like me. I've got
I feel like a
got-
horse's
yeah, I've got Pabst running down my shirt. My sock is
Got a
wet, so
whole
I know
bowl of
there's a
chocolate
puddle
pudding
on
in
the
my
floor.
pants.
And we went through, I don't know, 38 napkins and some rags.
But we're all ready to go. We're back in action.
And we're back.
So Jared here, he is the best small game hunter that I know of. Nick, what do you call it that he has?
Well, before we get into too much of that, I want everybody to know where they can get into what Jared is and what he's about, where we can find him. Because you're not just a local legend; you're a online legend as well on the interweb.
Legend. Listen to this.
The World Wide Web.
I am out there.
Where can we find you?
You
On
find me.
Exchangegram.
Instagram is the big one. That's where you'll find me most days. At Letfly with 3 Ys. Facebook.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's right, Nick. You got it. 3 of them there, right at the end.
1 and 2 are already taken.
They were. Yeah, they were. Thanks for bringing that up, Nick. Facebook, Jared Larsen. Snapchat actually was way back before the Letfly days. So that is Chewpacca. Yes, you heard it here, folks. Chewpacca. CHEWPACKA.
A lot of good quality content on there.
You'll be offended. But, yeah, follow him up. Follow me up.
Letfly here.
How y'all doing? Yeah, you'll get a little bit of
That's
that.
the famous Letfly right there.
I was supposed to do that, but the Pabst threw me way off with the explosion.
You want to just say it now for effect?
All right, for effect, all right. If you follow me on Snapchat, usually you're gonna get a snap like just about every day. That's gonna go.
It's
with
every
the,
day.
with the big mouth filter, of course. You know it's how y'all doing? Letfly here. And then I'm gonna go into whatever I stupidly want to talk about that day.
I will admit the how ya Dan has gotten more and more dramatic over the years.
It definitely has.
You guys have been
Like
around.
it's somebody
for the,
like like their first week in like Florida, they start to pick up that southern drawl, and then like 3-4 years in, and now you can't understand them anymore, but you know what they're saying.
People are gonna start making that video. This is 1 week
week.
following Letfly.
That's yeah.
I
How
think-
y'all doing? 3 weeks
weeks.
following Letfly.
Tell you
How
what.
y'all doing?
If that's all that comes from this podcast, we'll call it a W for Letfly, okay? If I can get one person out there saying, how y'all doing? Start your day. Oh, man. We're good.
We'll be using the hashtag how y'all Dan.
Dern.
Darn.
Darn.
Get it right, bud.
DERN.
Whitey knows what's up.
Was that Lil Wayne? Hey, how you darn?
Yeah, we're basically the same guy.
He looks just like him.
Very similar, yeah. Now that you bring it up,
There's beer everywhere.
There's beer everywhere.
So that is Mr. Jared Larsen. Why are you on the podcast today?
Well, there's been some rumors that I'm pretty good at killing squirrels, apparently. So,
they're not rumors. They're all true.
We've got the raw materials that prove it.
He
that
was
so?
just officially put into the record books under the WCOPA Squirrel Slam, which is the Whitecat Outdoors, Pennsylvania PA Grand Slam for the squirrels. Jared Larsen has killed every squirrel in the world. Just kidding. He's killed every
false.
species
That's
in
false.
PA, and he's got them all mounted. And I asked him to bring them, and he wouldn't do it.
It's his prized possession. He
It's-
won't even let me look at it.
It's
Only
kind
in
of
pictures.
that's what you guys like to do on your podcast? Just attack one person over here?
Yeah.
The new guy
Yeah.
on the podcast? All right,
Yep.
I like
Sometimes it's fun.
it. Sometimes.
Yeah, depends on where you're sitting.
The reason the squirrel mount isn't here is because Nick decided to take his sweet ass time getting a hold of me to, hey, why don't you bring those squirrel mounts over? It was far too late. I was
That's
already
true.
over here in the
Oh,
studio.
I'm doing good. I was referring to
There
a
it
beer.
is. Grab a stone.
No, but why don't you go into the different types of squirrels you got mounted? You're obviously a big time small game hunter.
I enjoy it, yeah. What I have mounted, it was pretty cool actually. It worked out really good. I took a fox squirrel. I believe it was the first one that I took to Lynx Taxidermy. I don't know if that's considered it. Is that Albion out there?
I would call it Albion, yeah.
I think that's Albion.
I'm
But,
unfamiliar with that taxidermist. Well, I know who he is, but I don't know where his location. So
Okay, well, yeah, I think it's Albion. And I took him a fox squirrel, and he told me when I took it that it was probably going to take a while because of deer season. Like,
you're telling me squirrels aren't on the top priority
I
during
had
deer
the
season?
same question, dude. I was like, you mean to tell me I'm going to wait like 11 months? Like, that's what he told me. Like, this is going to take a while. And I'm like, Like, that sucks, but I get it, you know.
Do you know who I am?
Do you not see the shirt? Yeah, it says Letfly on it very clearly. It's Saturdays.
What is a Smatter Day?
Small game Saturday.
Small game Saturday.
Hashtag Smatterday.
You heard it
Hashtag
here
Smatter
first,
Days.
folks.
Yeah, you heard it here. Patent pending.
TM.
So yeah, I took the fox squirrel to Lynx.
Where'd
and
you get that fox squirrel, Jared? Who were you with when you
Am
shot
I
it?
allowed to? I was with Whitey, my
Yeah,
man over
yeah,
here.
you
I was
were.
with Whitey. He granted me special permission. I don't know how I got so lucky, but we rang in the 2018 or 2019?
It's 2018.
2018 season. It was like January 2, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was the 2nd of January.
And we went out there. Oh man, what a morning it was too.
It was.
The squirrels were a barking, let me tell you. And it took 25 minutes maybe.
If that, it was
laying
quick.
them down, just laying them down. And
Yeah, we shot quite a few squirrels that day. A couple grays.
I think we spent more time taking pictures of that squirrel than we did actually.
We made
hunting.
that squirrel look like it was 35 pounds.
I'll get that pic to you guys.
I mean, it was a solid 30-pound squirrel, but we put 5 pounds on it. With
The
the
camera
pictures.
does add 5 pounds up.
Yeah. Sometimes. Where was I?
You were
I
slaying
took it.
squirrels.
Yeah,
with
slaying
Frank.
the squirrels with Frank is where I got the fox squirrel. 2018 started that year off right. Took it to Lynx because I wanted a squirrel, wanted the mount, and then he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna take a while and all this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I understand. It's a squirrel, you know. Not everybody
We got
loves
some whitetails to
not
take care of.
not everybody loves squirrels as much as I do, so I get it. People that want their
Does he
deer back.
specialize in squirrel taxidermy, or is it
Believe it or not, he does not.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think he
was pretty shocked,
specializes
too.
in whitetail.
unreal?
With the way he's running a business, I don't know if he's gonna stay open much longer. You know, you think he put squirrels up at the tippity, but either way, so it's gonna take a while, and it did. Oh God, did it ever? So
About 11 months.
it took longer.
That's because you kept bringing him more squirrels.
We're getting there.
Thank you. Yes, the following squirrel season rolls around, which would be heading into 2019, and
Was this another Smatter Day?
this is way back when, though. I mean, Smatter Days is kind of the new thing right now with the Whitecat. You know, that's kind of for you guys. I mean, I've always been out there doing Smatter
What a
Days.
beautiful
but
little gift you've given here to
it's
the
just for
Whitecat
you
crew.
guys. It's just a little nugget. Just to show you guys how much I appreciate you, especially you, Tom.
Well, I appreciate that, Jared. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
I do like your blonde
I
friend.
do like your blonde friend, yeah. But, yeah, so the next squirrel season rolls around. I have yet to get that squirrel back from Lynx. Excuse me. Whatever. It's no big deal. He told me it was going to be a while. And I go out. I got this lease in Cambridge Springs. Won't tell you anything more than that. And it is just a bloom with squirrels. Okay, it is Letfly heaven. I'll tell you that much. I walked in it.
When you go archery hunting, I think you send me more pictures of black squirrels than you do deer.
I certainly do. I Snapchat.
You got a little heaven of black squirrels.
I do. We keep that on the hush. But yes,
It's on
I
the
walked
North
in.
Pole, not even close to here.
Not even close to here. We had it's through
Secrets are coming up.
It's through Base Camp Leasing, and I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that or not, but
It's more than just Pennsylvania on that base camp leasing, isn't it? I've used other leasing websites for other states.
I honestly couldn't tell you if it's outside of that or not. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, I've seen Ohio.
As
I
you say,
believe.
yeah, I looked at Ohio
I've definitely
'cause-
seen Ohio. But anyways, we have a lease out in Corey that we've been on for a few years that has 0 squirrels, not one to be found.
Not
Okay.
let fly heaven.
No,
It's more
that
like a
is-
let fly hell.
Yeah, you're living it, okay? That property is all whitetails, okay? And boy, has it turned out good this year.
Boy, are they small.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get into that part too.
Oh, me either. It's going to be a long podcast. So that one out there, 0 squirrels. That's strictly whitetail business. And this one in Cambridge Springs, since we already have a lease through Base Camp, they send you a permission slip or whatever that you're allowed to go walk on a property to view it. You know, if you're already signed up through Base Camp and all that, they'll let you go walk through a property so you can take a look at it before you. That was a good one. Before
All
you.
in the can that time.
That's
I'm
what
a
they're
pro.
supposed to do, yeah. They'll let you go out and look at a property if you're interested in it. So, got a hold of Andrew, my cousin, who I hope ends up on here someday.
I'm sure he will.
Be a lot of fun.
See if we can't fit him in our busy schedule right now.
I
It's
know you guys
pretty
are
booked for the next 5
packed
years.
to the rafters. I know.
Tip the
There's,
mic over.
a little bit.
We're doing a quick adjustment. Keep going.
Okay. but he has a permission slip because he's the one that's actually like in charge of our lease out in Corey. And so he got a hold of me and my grandfather over here in Edinburgh, and he's like, yo, there's this property out in Cambridge Springs. It's for 2 hunters only, though. But he's like, I'm thinking about going out and taking a look at it. And I'm like, that's not far at all. So, like, yeah, I'm in. Like, can we bring a third? He's like, yeah, we should be fine. So we took all the grandpaps out there with us as well, and we took a walk through this property because he wanted to look into getting a lease for himself that was close to home. And while we were walking through, it's like 60 acres, but about 45 to 50 of it is field. There is not much woods.
Is it ag or anything? Like, just the landowner planted, or
the first year there was nothing in it, and then I don't know who the actual landowner is anymore. I don't know who the farmer is that I've tried to run into him, and I've never been successful. So,
Well, a lot of time, the people that own the property aren't the ones that farm it.
right, and I don't know who the farmer is that's planting, but anyways, they had soybeans in it is what they had just this last year. We've only been on it this will be our 3rd year. And anyways, when we were walking through it, taking our initial walk through the property, very quick walk, like, oh wow, this is all field. I don't think this is going to be really cool, like you might be able to get up on the field edge, smoke a whitetail,
Mm-hmm.
but
Or if there's corn planted in it somewhere.
right. And then it's got to be close enough, though, So it's like looking at this 40-acre field, and it's like, I don't know. We got this little bit to hunt here. Let's just walk this and see what it's about. So during our walk, we get to, I guess, like the back half of this little 10-acre strip. We see a black squirrel run up an oak tree.
Jared said, I'll pay for it by myself.
I literally said, I'm in. I said, I don't care which one of you guys is going in with me, but I'm in. That was all I needed to see. Then I went out. After that happened, it ended up being me and my grandfather that got on this lease. And it has produced, I tell you, for a 10-acre little strip of woods. My grandfather has got a pretty decent buck out of there. First year on it. I saw a decent 10-point the first year. Could not get a shot. I didn't have a tree stand up yet. I only had a ground blind, and I could just not make it happen. And for 10 acres, it has really produced. I got my first archery doe and archery buck off of that property, and pretty darn cool. I'm pretty happy with it. But the squirrels, there are oak trees everywhere. There's acorns everywhere through this little 10-acre
I think
strip.
you mean acorns.
Acorns, I'm sorry.
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 Yeah, there's acorns everywhere. So to go back to where the fox squirrel came from was over there at Whitey's property. I won't tell anybody where that's at.
Yeah,
He can
I
do
know
that.
you won't.
Either way,
Just
laid
north,
down
north of the Kentucky line.
yeah, pretty much somewhere over there. You'll find it. But what a hog that squirrel was. That fox squirrel was big. It was a good.
Like you said, 30 pounds.
pounder.
You added
Yeah,
a few in the picture.
30
but
pounder.
Yeah.
I mean, those things.
That one's
Don't
on your
get those
Instagram,
everywhere.
isn't it? That picture.
I believe so. I think the one just on the log is not with the arm over it, like showing its true size.
Get him out of here.
Get him out of here. We'll be seeing him. So yeah, the fox squirrel came from there. Gray and black squirrel rolling into that next season. I already had the fox squirrel at Lynx. Roll into the next small game, Smatter Days, coming around again. I'm getting jacked. And we go out, and I believe I was Snapchatting that day. I really didn't put anything on Instagram.
When you shot the
surprising.
black squirrel, you were Snapchatting.
No. The gray squirrel came first. I got the gray squirrel. I believe. All I remember about the gray squirrel, excuse me, was that it was 8 degrees outside, something like that.
Real warm out that day.
My face was frozen. I took a Snapchat that I had like ice hanging off my beard, and
That was back when you had the long Letfly beard.
I did have a pretty white trash beard going on for a while, but maybe we'll put a pic of that up someday.
We will.
We will. It was really cold. Excuse me. And I don't even know really what it was that like made me want to get up that day. I know I've killed squirrels when it was really cold before. Like I did not enjoy it, like going out there and freezing.
But you
that
got to
much.
grind. You have to.
Exactly. Smatter days don't stop, just because you don't want to get up and go out there. Somebody's got to
Smatter
shoot 'em.
days once a week, and you got to get out after it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're running out of time. So there's going to be some Smatter Day trips coming up here in the next couple weeks. But super cold. I use a 22 when I shoot squirrels. And,
We got a sharpshooter on our hands.
what? It gets boring with a shotgun. I did
Yeah.
that for about 2 squirrels. And I was like, this is dumb.
Waste all the meat, too.
Yeah, exactly. Just everything.
Squirrels are delicious.
They sure are delicious.
That squirrel sure does look delicious.
Thanks, Craig.
Back to Craig for some squirrel stories.
Thanks, Craig. Idiot. Keep making me forget where I was going with my stories here.
You're hunting gray squirrels.
Freezing
8
cold.
degrees.
Yeah, freezing cold.
You
Real
walk
super
there
cold.
uphill both ways.
Uphill both ways, of course. And it was like a sign from the gods, okay? Like, I'm walking through the field on my Camber Spring lease, and I see a squirrel out in the middle of the field. I'm like, get the...
Come to dad.
shut
Peek
the-
for daddy.
Yeah, peek for daddy, exactly. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. What is this squirrel doing out right now? Like, there's nothing in the field anymore. Just out digging away. And I'm like, you're done. Like, thank God, because it's really cold out here. And I'm ready to be done with this squirrel. So I put the stock on. I hit the tree line, start putting the stock on. Because, believe it or not, they're shifty little bastards. And they'll bust you. Just about as easy as a deer will.
Some say
Believe
they
it or
have a nose stronger than a whitetail.
And deer can't climb a tree to get away from you.
Exactly. You guys think it's hard to kill a whitetail. Okay.
And they
Imagine
can see
if
in
they
co-
could climb
Imagine
trees.
if they could climb a tree.
And
exactly.
I heard that they also see in color too, so you got to be really cautious with your camo patterns.
Super cautious, okay? None of that old school. Well, actually, old school probably worked better than some of this crap
Just
with
say,
the
don't
big,
you talk shit on old school
with this
camo,
big.
all right? I
I
have
won't
got
name
quite the
drop,
arsenal.
but big logos. I know you do. I've
I
seen
just,
your jumpsuit.
while we're on it, I just picked up a sweet, like, 90s or late 80s Realtree bomber jacket, $15.
That's a
15 bucks.
deal,
That's
man.
a deal. Yeah, I've been watching it for a while, like 2 months.
I had to go on the buy it now price,
Had
but
to
I got
haggle
her.
with him for a
No,
while.
by now he wanted
Guy
like
wanted
30,
15
he-
grand.
He wanted $30, and
Talked him down
and
to
I
15.
says to the guy, he's standing right there.
there.
I waited like 2 months. I actually forgot about it, but I was on eBay looking at other things, and it came up in my watching. I'm like, this guy still hasn't sold it yet? I mean, it's been 2 months. And I'm like, who's not buying this? So I'm like, oh, $15, throw it in, whatever. Guy bites. So
Get this.
guess what? I got myself a bomber jacket on the way to the house as we speak.
Beautiful.
Can't
That's
wait.
fantastic.
Can't
Well,
wait to
you're-
take it out on a smatter day.
I was gonna say you're probably gonna slay whatever you're hunting in that.
Plan to.
As long as I'm there, I mean, I get a couple calls up my sleeve still. Get them squirrels barking, Tommy. I know you're.
While
a
we're-
Yeah, what do you
Well,
do?
well, speaking of, let's go on
Oh,
the evolution
okay.
of squirrel calling, because I remember back in the day,
Oh boy.
I'm talking way back.
OG squirrel calling.
Like, I'm talking, I don't even want to give it away, but you got the idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know.
Can't see it
I
on
know
Oh, and
camera.
then, and
what
then
you're-
there's the old, you know what I mean? Yep. He knows what I mean.
Why don't you just tell the story?
Jared, I
Jared,
want to
tell
go
the
the
story.
evolution, from monkey to man on squirrel calls.
monkey to man. Well, I want to say the very first call was just tried by mouth. Just
Yeah, please give
You
it
know.
the best rendition of a fox squirrel.
I just tried there. I mean, and as you can tell, it's not the most effective. Though you can get them to bark on it if you're. Nope, not quite.
You said
But,
dark.
Right. Well, that's what they do. With the mouth, I just it never really worked out that good, and I was a cheap ass back in my younger days where I was like, I ain't paying $7 for a squirrel call. That's
It's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah. What do
How
you
many
need?
cans of chew that is?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what do you need a squirrel call for? You just go out and shoot them. Turns out they're shifty. They can be quite challenging to shoot.
They say
And,
if you can hunt a red squirrel, you can hunt anything in the
exactly
country.
That's why they
Exactly.
call them the deer of the trees.
right chicken of the rail yard.
Chicken the rail yard.
they are. If you've never been out squirrel hunting, I mean, obviously you guys don't go out as much as I do for squirrel.
No,
love
that's why
squirrel
you're
hunting.
on here talking
I
as
love
the
it.
small game specialist.
I honestly look forward to small game, and it's not even like everything. I don't rabbit hunt. I really don't pheasant hunt. I used to do that way back when. Now all I do is squirrel hunt, and I honestly look forward to that every year, like almost more than deer hunting. It's something I cannot wait to get out and do. Especially when I was trying to get them all on the wall. You know what I mean? Like that was my
Yeah,
goal.
when you have a goal in mind, like you want to get all three of them to put
Right.
on a mount, it gives
It's
you
like-
something more to look forward to than just going out and shooting squirrels.
You know, you look around the old room of Letfly, and it's like buck, 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 buck. Where the squirrels at?
Where the
though?
squirrels?
You know what I mean? It's
Where
like,
them squirrels?
where's them black squirrels? That's what I wanted
Now,
more than
are the
anything.
black squirrels considerably bigger?
No, they're actually small.
Oh,
Smaller
Yeah.
than a fox
Yeah,
squirrel.
believe it or not, Nick.
that's odd.
Yeah,
I thought
it is.
Maybe
I
the black
mean-
squirrels would be a lot bigger.
No, you would think, that's stereotypical of you, but they're actually quite small. Don't believe everything you hear, kids.
It's an
Moving
explicit-
on.
Stupid.
Moving on from that, Jared's got black squirrels all over his wall.
Nope, just one.
A black squirrel, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a color phase of the gray squirrel?
That's right, Tommy.
No correction needed.
No correction needed. You're spot on. But anyways, where were we with the?
How you have so many bucks.
No.
No,
Yeah,
you
we
had a
were on
goal
the
in
calls.
mind,
We were on,
getting-
we were on the
looking
calls
into-
too.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
jumped
that's
around
exactly it.
quite a bit.
Evolution of the
Monkey
calls.
to man.
Monkey to man. That's right. Started off with the old mouth call, like I said, because I was a cheap ass and I wouldn't pay $7 for a call. And then
Big money back in the day.
Yeah, and then I started talking to my my other grandfather out in Harbor Creek, the man, Pops. He's the man, the myth, the legend, Pops. Okay, and this guy says "inat" and "yins" all the time, and it is my favorite thing in the world to listen to.
Is this the same batteries guy?
Yes, it is. You get change the batteries. And he calls his wife Sweetie. He's called her Sweetie for I don't know how many years they've been married now. Man, a long time. Calls her Sweetie. Don't ever get too old to call her Sweetie. Okay, Pops is living proof of that, and I love it. I enjoy that, man. But it started talking to him because apparently back in the day, Pops has shot 80-pound squirrels back in the day. When they were thick as mosquitoes. Oh yeah, I'm big as my arm. Okay, Pops, how'd you do that? Well, he took this call right here, and he just conveniently had it in his pocket. Okay, what do you got there, Pops?
That's how you know he's a real squirrel hunter. He's got the call in the pocket
Ready to
at
go.
all times.
Just
in
in
case somebody asks a question.
So this is just a family tradition, just passed generation to generation.
It
of
skipped just about
squirrel.
everybody else, though. Nobody else is about it. I'm all for it.
But you come
and
from a long line of squirrel slayers.
apparently my grandfather was slaying squirrels, as big as your arm, big as a man's arm back in his day.
A man's man.
Exactly. And so I says to him, I'm not really having a whole lot of luck with the mouth calling, trying to get out there, trying to be successful
You
at
were
this.
trying to get outside, weren't you?
I was trying to get out there, trying to earn it. You know what I mean? Trying to earn them squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, what do you got for me? Since clearly this is where it comes from. I get it from you. He's like, I got this here. And he pulled out of his pocket. Pretty sure he was wearing a red flannel jacket.
Of course he was.
Unzipped,
Probably
sitting
green
inside.
on the green lined.
No, it was black. It was black on the inside. But it was, I don't even know how to describe this. It's like the squeaker out of a toy.
So like a dog toy squeaker, but just the little
Just
squeaker
the
that's
little
inside.
Rip the
clear
toy
plastic
open.
part that is just you squeeze it and squeak squeak, that's it. And
Can you
I'm
give
like,
us the best rendition of that one as well?
I can
Squeak, squeak.
squeak squeak. that's all you
Squeak,
get.
squeaker,
Squeaker.
squeaking.
It's a friggin' squeaker. And I'm like, you're joking, right? That's a dog toy squeaker, Pops. What do you?
This is a squirrel call, son.
Exactly. That's what it was. It was
Gotta
like,
make do with what you got.
it's like, listen, watch this. And he cups it in his hand. And it's a technique to it. I'm not going to lie to you because I was no good at it when I started. But this guy taught me how to use this dog squeaker. Cup it on your hand, press it, and then let off.
At the same time, you're like releasing
yes, like
the
release
squeak.
it off your hand, like suction to your hand, and let off the call, and it makes like a perfect squirrel call.
Did he ever tell you how he figured that out?
No clue, and I've never questioned it, okay? But I hunted squirrels like that for years. I used that. I'm pretty sure we have gone out hunting, and I've
Back
pulled
when I
that
was
out
in
of there.
high school, we
Yes.
used to do that behind the house.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
used it for a long time.
And it honestly makes me really sad because I don't know where that ended up over the years.
That you had his?
It was his.
dog
He
toy
gave it to me,
squeaker?
out of his. And I think it's still in one of my hunting bins. Believe it or not, I just have way too much hunting stuff. But
You're a big time hunter.
for the squirrels, I got so many other squirrel calls now.
Different
it's just
camo patterns for the season
Exactly,
and area
Nick.
you're at. Yeah, of course.
Elevation
Don't we
package.
all? I know
Have
what
you
that's
ever
all
tried
about.
the old like knocking 2 quarters together trick?
Knocking 2 quarters together.
You hold one in between your thumb and index, and another one, and just
Tom, you're supposed to
Is that
give us
supposed
your
to-
best rendition now.
Is that
Since you
supposed
brought
to
it
sound
up,
like acorns breaking or something
No,
like
it's
that? Or is
supposed
that
to-
supposed to be like the barking of a squirrel?
it's supposed to be the barking of a squirrel. Metal on metal. I don't know. I never.
our buddy Paul actually
don't think I
turned us
have
on
any,
it. I was gonna say, I
quarters.
reached in my pocket, no change.
Yeah, no change here. Next
Oh,
time.
I have a nickel and a dime.
I don't
well,
think
those
that
aren't.
worked. We
those
said
aren't
2 quarters.
So
We're gonna improvise with 2 nickels.
okay, Tommy's gonna.
I'm gonna give
Or
him to
Nick.
Tom.
Apparently,
I'm gonna
Nick.
give him to Tom.
No, okay, Tommy.
Well,
I mean, this
listen
was
up.
his call.
That's not my call. I don't want to take credit for something this good.
I'm not really hearing a squirrel in that.
I will admit, our buddy Paul picked that up from one of his buddies when he was working at Dick's Sporting Goods. And with 2 quarters, there is a technique to make it sound pretty darn close. Yeah, that's enough.
I think we got
we've
it
gotten
figured
the
out,
point.
Tom.
Yeah, it's just supposed to sound like a little chatter.
A little chatter.
Here's a little
that's-
chatter.
that's-
Here's a
I
little
wish
chatter.
I should have brought my squirrel call with me. I'd show you some chatter.
You should have brought your mounts too.
Dude, you didn't text me quick enough, or else
Okay,
I would have.
to be
Next
fair-
time, to be
To
fair,
be fair.
I texted you like 4 o'clock, and we didn't start recording until like.
Yeah, no, I was already
5:30.
here, bro. Some of us like to get here early. Yeah,
Told you I work for a living.
yeah, right. Okay.
I
Me
didn't say
too.
work hard. I said I work for a living.
Yeah, we know.
So is
But,
there different vocalizations that a squirrel has?
Vocalization.
That's what I said.
Thank you. Explain what you mean exactly.
I think he
Like,
means like
so,
for
you know,
It
Nick,
was Tom's question.
he asked me to
He couldn't
explain.
even say the word right.
I said it right. You know, when you're buck hunting, you got your trailing grunt, your tending grunt, you got a snort wheeze, you got a growl, you got all kinds of different noises that you
Okay.
can use. For when you're squirrel hunting, is there just one sound, or is there
With
different cadences, different noises, or is it all just one call?
I would feed him a whole line of bullshit right now.
You know what I wanted to, Nick.
Squirrels got their feeder call.
Yeah, there's
They're like a mallard.
my call that I have. It's a nightingale. I believe that's what that one is that I use now. Love it.
The squirrel squalor.
It might be. I'm not sure. It's old. It's an older call. I've had
Black
it for
has like a
Black.
almost like a
shot
small
gobble.
gobble tube.
yes, with orange plastic on
Oh,
it. with the
yeah.
black.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
buddy.
used one of those in my day.
Yeah, let me tell you, you shake that sucker.
That was pretty good.
Them squirrels
That was a
go
good
off, okay?
rendition.
I'm gonna bring the call next time, but
It'll probably sound really good in the mic.
it's gonna be real loud, so I'll be sure to hold it back a little bit.
They'll get it right up in there. The listeners want to hear it.
They want to hear it. Okay, I'm gonna trust you on that one, Tommy. But anyways, that call will do, I think, 4 different calls. Is what, like, if you actually read the instructions that come with a squirrel call, like.
I mean, every grunt tube and turkey call has the same not the same instructions, but instructions for different cadences.
Right. I mean, this was just pretty much telling you how to hold it, what to do, stupid. You just go out there and you spend some time listening to squirrels, you know what to do. And
So it's all about just getting outside and listening to what.
it's about
What it is
getting
you're
outside.
targeting.
Exactly. It's about getting out. So you're setting out to hunt squirrels. That's what you're going out for. Believe me, you're probably going to see some deer while you're out there, which is always fun. But you just get yourself 22. I mean, 17 if you're feeling fruity.
You really want to blow them
yeah,
apart.
you
I like
want
to
dinners.
cook them
Yeah.
on from the limb.
Yeah.
They like to be cooked medium
trying
rare
to-
by the time they hit the ground.
Right. Yeah. If you want to make burger out of some squirrels, take a 17. And if you're out there to bird watch, take a shotgun because that's dumb. No, I'm just kidding. If it gets you out there, just like I know it's been mentioned before, if it gets you out there, if you like doing it, and a shotgun's what keeps you going back to squirrel hunting, keep doing it. For me, it just got too boring. It was just
You like a little bit of a challenge.
exactly. I mean, I sighted my 22 in for like 75 yards or whatever. I would shoot the hell out of it.
It's
And
expensive, doesn't it?
I heard 22s are about $1 a shot.
yeah, it's pretty expensive. So you know what Letfly is about.
High roller
But
over
yeah.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay, I was still answering your first one, but go ahead.
He's just full of questions.
No, go ahead. Answer the first one, and then
No, like I was gonna say though, like the call that Nightingale has 4 calls, I believe, 3 or 4, and it's got like the distress call on it. And then if you hold it and just smack the, I guess would be that rubber end on it, like the gobble tube, you know,
The
I don't know,
top.
I don't know what you want to call that, the top, yeah, smack the top.
I would just give it your own name. A dobble or something.
the Dobbler
Yeah,
wobbler.
the
I don't
Dobbler
know.
wobbler.
The
That's-
Dobbler
yeah, the
wobbler
Dobbler
on
wobbler.
the top.
Smack
of
the
it.
Dobbler wobbler.
Patent pending. The Dobbler wobbler on top of the squirrel call, you know, and it's gonna bark. I mean, it's gonna bark at you. Yeah,
Bikes.
yeah, bikes exactly. That sucker's gonna bark at you. Now you need to finesse them though. We're not just, you know what I mean. We're not smacking the crap out of that thing.
That's how I use a grunt tube, and it doesn't work.
Exactly.
you smack a grunt tube.
Smack the.
No, I just start grunting like a crazy. I've tried smacking a grunt tube when I was out of a rattle bag, and
You just beat it off
Yeah.
the tree
beat it
for a
off
while.
the tree. Beat the dickens out
was
of
it?
it.
I think it
That
was.
other-
Wasn't it Stan Potts that says he smacks his rattle bag off the tree first thing, just hard as he can.
Just let it know who's boss.
And I must have mixed
Challenge.
up
It's a
grunt tube
challenge.
with rattle bag. Apparently, smacking your grunt tube does nothing but break it.
Shocker.
Well, now you know, folks.
Now you
Well,
know.
it does not break a squirrel.
Don't hit your gobbler wobbler.
We say
on a
my
tree.
my grunt tube does not have a Dobbler wobbler, so that would make sense
Is
why
it
it doesn't
gobbler
work.
wobbler or Dobbler?
I was saying Dobbler with a D.
We're gonna go with Dobbler then. Okay.
I think if
the
it's a
Dobbler
turkey
wobbler.
call, it's a gobbler wobbler. But for squirrels, it's a
I
Dobbler
love where your
wobbler.
head's at. Yes, love
So
that.
squirrels dobble? Is that what
Squirrels
you're
a
saying?
Yes.
dobble.
They
It's a dobble
dobble and they
wobble.
bark.
Dobble till you wobble. Okay. We've got it all going on here. So yeah, I mean you can smack the, you beat the hell out of that dobble wobble. Okay. Guess what? You ain't fooling that squirrel. You're gonna be way too loud, crazy loud. I mean, it's like absurd.
Oh my God,
okay,
I feel
that
like
you've
I'm there
never
now.
heard. You've never heard a squirrel bark this loud in your life. I promise you. Now, if you catch the right squirrel, I suppose, you know, just like with bucks, and you beat the dickens out of that thing.
Usually it's that year and a half, but you're after mature squirrels at this point, aren't you?
Only 8 to 9 year old. That's all I go for.
That's when they hit that 30, 35
That's when they
pound
hit.
range.
I mean, usually
They really
typically,
blow up in that like 7th to
You
9th
really get
year.
to see a squirrel's full potential, like 7. I mean, you give them 8, and wow. I mean, the girth on these things. The tail alone could sink a small boat.
Tail
Okay.
alone's worth the trap.
Exactly. And you're not gonna fool them, okay? Like if you go out there and you're just la-di-don through the woods, beating the dickens out of your dobble wobble, guess what? Ain't gonna happen. You get yourself your 22, like I was saying, or 17 shotgun, whatever you want. You perch yourself under a little hemlock. You find yourself something that'll give you a little cover, and you just perch. And that's all it's going to be for like 20 minutes. You're probably not going to hear anything. Maybe some birds, whatever. But after you give it a little bit of time to calm down, you know, because you've disturbed the woods a little bit coming in, you're just going to ever so slightly start giving her a couple smacks on the dobble wobble, okay? Just real little, yeah, Nick's got it going. I wish there was a
Wolf of Wall
camera in
Street
here.
here.
Wolf of Wall Street going on.
Oh.
Just gonna ease into it. Yeah, you're gonna ease
You
into
gotta
it.
bump those numbers up.
Those are rookie numbers. And you're gonna ease into it, and then shut up. You're gonna shut your mouth. You shut your dobble wobble for like another 20.
So you're telling me just squeeze the dobble wobble, don't let it
I'm
make
gonna
another
tell you
noise.
do like 7 to 10 second sequence of just some light,
3 very long, slow
slow
honks.
honks. Yes. 7 to 10 just
I like
You
that
know what I
little
mean?
that little.
You gotta throw that little chatter in there.
seasoning
You
or-
got it. Yeah, you gotta. You ain't gonna.
Seasoning.
It's like smacking 2 quarters together. You know, like how you were just doing it. Click, click.
That was 2
click,
nickels.
Click. Oh, well, that's probably why it didn't work.
Yeah. Otherwise, if I had quarters, we'd have squirrels on the bar.
On
right
the bar right now. Then you're gonna shut up, and usually, that's all it's gonna take. Honestly, I mean, if you did it right the first time, they're gonna fire up. You're gonna start hearing them sounding off, is what I like to call it. I don't know the exact.
Sound off like the God pair.
Yeah, exact. Whitey's been out there with me.
And have you ever seen the pair on a mature fox squirrel?
Them 35 pounders, 28 pounds of its nuts.
I seen one of them make a birthday card a while back.
It's very unproportional to their body.
It's kind of like a sheep. I mean, have you seen like? And then they do it in a taxidermy. I swear, they like enlarge them things on taxidermy. It's ridiculous. I was just at the Harrisburg show. My God, like you
I'm
think they're
sorry, we
infected?
Like really got off topic there.
We had to bring it. Somebody had to bring up
Somebody
how large
had
they
to
are.
talk about it. I knew it.
It's unreal. But back to your after you do your 7 or 8 cadence on the gobble wobble,
That's-
give it 20 minutes, then
It's
they're
a
gonna sound
dobble.
off.
Dobble.
That's what I said.
Dobble, whatever. Patent pending. You're gonna want to just shut up after that. It's much like calling a deer, where like I fully agree with you're gonna call too much. Like that's a real thing. Now I know squirrels are way more vocal than I've ever heard a deer be. I mean, I grunt very little. I'm not very good at it. I don't
I don't
claim
even bring
to be.
a grunt tube. We've talked about that.
Yeah, I've listened to the previous podcast and I've heard what you've said about it, and I am pretty much right there with you. I have the grunt tube. What is that? The extinguisher? Is that that slider?
Yeah,
we actually,
that's what we all
I think
use.
I
I
really
use
like
the
that.
shit out of that thing.
I like it. It's a really nice grunt tube. I've just never had it, like you said, I've never grunted or rattled.
Yeah, I'm not
a
saying
buck.
it doesn't work.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just,
because I've heard it work for many people.
it hasn't worked for me, and it's probably
No.
just because I don't have the right cadence or whatever. I just feel like it hurts me
Right.
more than anything, so I just don't bring it. And
Right, and like Tommy had said here, with all these, you got all these different kind of grunts that you do. Well, guess what? I don't know enough to know which one I'm supposed to be using and when. You know, and if it is a deer that's super far away or anything like that, and you can't really identify how old that deer is, you know, if you go to that, you slide that sucker down, real mature buck, and you blast him with that, you might scare him away. You know what I mean? It's it's something I don't really like to do. I've used it to stop deer, you know, that's about
I
it.
like to give him the old map.
I'm a big believer
Bap,
in,
bap.
in
I've
the
actually,
bap, bap. Yeah,
I've stopped a turkey with a mat one time.
that's impressive.
I was like probably 10 or 11. I was hunting with my dad, and because it was before I could
Saw
call.
it on TV.
I was before I could call, and my dad was calling for me, and we got this nice Tom, about 7-8 inch beard, coming in.
I thought you were gonna say 7-8 yards.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the hell
Oh.
were you?
My first turkey I killed at 11 paces. 10-year-old 11 paces.
What does that equate to? Yards?
About 8 yards.
About a half a mile.
Yeah. Nautical miles.
22 miles.
Oh wait, get yourself a new map. But no, so I had this turkey coming in, you know, about 10 yards. I freaking smoked him.
Freaking smoked him.
No, but turkey comes in, it's like kind of running through the area, still looking for where the hen was. And didn't I give it the old map? And that bird did stop on a dime. And I gave it about a quarter second and let fly.
Freaking
Let
smoked.
fly. There it is, baby. I was waiting for it.
I did let
Let her
fly
have
a
it.
second time. And
Sometimes that's necessary.
I racked a third one. My dad said, I think he's dead.
I
He dropped on the first one,
You
but
think the
that was my
marshmallow's
first
done,
long
Doug?
beard, and I was
Wasn't
excited.
getting away.
He's still moving
Yeah.
out there. We better keep
I mean, if
letting
you shot
fly.
if you shot a turkey before, they flop a little, and I thought that meant he was ready for running, and I fed it to him.
I let him have it.
Feed him the lead.
Yeah. No, that's great. I unfortunately can't say that I've ever done that, because the turkey is the one thing that still eludes me.
It's your arch nemesis.
It is right now. I actually took time off work last year. Was the first time I've ever done that for turkey, because like I said, the whole there's buck on the wall, buck, and like, not to brag, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, I've got the deer on the wall, I've got the bucks on the wall. I want a turkey, I want the squirrels, I want everything else. You know what I mean? I'm trying to fill this. It's my goal.
It's nice to have a little variety in your life.
It is. You know, you look up, you get tired of seeing 140s all the time.
You
just-
do.
Whitey knows what I'm talking
I
about.
see a 150
I like
with a split G.
with a split G toe.
Shout out to Catching Deers.
That's right, Rut. If you're out there,
Me and
I
Frank,
know he's tuning in.
me
He
and
loves
Frank
the
got
podcast.
to
if
see
he's
Rut.
tuning in. I
Me and
heard.
Frank saw Rut Daniels. The line was stupid. I mean, like
I
he
heard.
was parked outside of the archery hall in Harrisburg.
I heard he had
Like,
a
he was-
changing booth, like
Yeah, he did.
on site.
Yeah, he did. It was
That's
the greatest
fantastic.
thing in the world. But so we walked by and literally it was like a small stand outside the archery booth. Like it wasn't even in the archery hall, and the line was like blocking the archery hall. Like that's
boy.
how to meet Rut Daniels, and he's up
Well,
there.
What do you expect? I mean, this guy's churning out gold.
It was
Okay.
perfect because like we walk in first thing in the morning and Bud Fisher's walking around. We come back like 2 hours later and
It's
Team
Rut
USA ready to go. Rut Daniels, and he's
God.
doing photo shoots all day long. And like I wanted to stop, but I swear to God, the line had to have been 200 feet, like without exaggeration.
there
It
was a lot of
ridiculous. Nobody gave a shit about what was in that archery hall. It was
You're
Rut
right, it was
Daniels
Rut
is right there.
Daniels
We
is
are
here.
talking the best archer that America's ever seen.
Should have
Right
won
there.
gold.
Fancy auger. Don't,
Don't
need,
need
it.
it. Anyway,
Boy, we just we're
what are you doing?
I just we've been going for a while, and I'm ready for a smoke break.
I guess we'll have a smoke
I
break.
guess
then.
we're gonna have a smoke break. Tommy, maybe I'll get back to one of your 4 questions.
Just a quick smoke break.
just a quick.
But I will warn you, I'm fixing to get fried on this smoke break.
All right, Nick,
baby.
lay it on us.
All right, so this week's smoke break, in lieu of Jared Larsen being on the podcast, we're going to do a little fried squirrel action. And we're all about, if you're going to hunt them, better eat them. And squirrel is
It's
delicious.
my bumper sticker, actually.
Is it?
Believe it or not, if you can hunt them, you better eat them. Yep.
But you had a Jenny beer sticker back there.
I
but
have
go
one
on.
And a
of those,
Moxie.
Moxie, that's it. Thank you. That's what I thought it was.
But anyway, so squirrel are delicious. They are the chicken of the tree.
Boy.
And they really are. There's tons of ways to do them, but for today's, we're going to do fried squirrel. So what you're going to want to do after you dress your squirrel, skin them out, get them into your little legs on the squirrel. Those delicious little legs.
The shears work really nice for cutting off legs.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, the game shears work real good. They make
I'm
short
sure.
work of a squirrel.
But anyway, so what you're going to do, you're going to eat your
Makes
seasoned.
that chaka meat fall right off the bone.
I like to use a seasoned flour. You can season it however you want. A little salt, pepper, Cajun. I love
S&P,
Cajun.
the choice for me.
Grill 1 to 2 minutes each side. But anyway, but you can use any batter really.
Beer batter.
Beer batter or Cajun, lemon, pepper, anything like
Giant
that.
pap.
But seasoned flour of some sort, and then I like to dip mine in eggs. Some people like to just do dry, but I think dipping them in eggs gives them a nice crispy effect. They're delicious that way. But anyway, so you're gonna do dip them in the eggs into the batter. If you're feeling really crazy, you're gonna go back to the egg and then back to the batter.
So
And
2
then-
layers of egg, 2 layers of batter.
Exactly.
Attaboy.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
Okay.
we use peanut oil. If you're allergic to peanuts, I would not recommend using peanut oil. Vegetable,
Probably ruin the recipe.
yeah, vegetable oil. I've had some issues with vegetable oil in the past. Likes to
It's 'cause it's
make
vegetable
fire.
oil.
But if you're allergic to vegetables, then you might want to go with the peanut oil.
Peanut oil is a very good. It's a safe choice. They actually do make a frying oil now, but I don't know what that is. But peanut oil is what I use.
They got them air fryers these days. How cool would that be to just?
I'm
throw
not
a
worried about
squirrel
my
in the air
cholesterol
fryer?
when I'm eating my squirrel. All right.
I'm not worried about it ever, but I'm just saying, how cool would that
No, I'm
be?
sure
Just
it could
pop
be.
it in there, put her
If
on low
somebody's-
range,
If somebody's putting their squirrel in the air fryers, let me know. But anyway, so you're
I'll
gonna
let you
drop them
know.
in there.
My
and-
girlfriend has an air fryer. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I brought a squirrel over and just threw it in there. So
All right. Well,
I think you meant hair dryer, Tom.
she's got both.
we're gonna try.
Nick, why don't you get fried over there?
Yeah.
I'm getting fried.
You were telling us about squirrels.
Yeah, so you're gonna drop them in that old fryer. I like to do 1-2 minutes and then rotate back in. Well, it depends. If you're deep frying, like if you got like an actual like deep fryer, you probably put them in there for like 3-4 minutes. I kind of gauge them like chicken wings when they start to float. They're getting close. But if you're just like in a pan, pan fried, still using peanut oil. 1 to 2 minutes each side. Take them out. I like to score a little lemon on mine, a little dusting of Cajun as well.
that.
And
I tell you
my
what.
God, you pair that with anything. A beer, of course.
Jenny beer.
Of course,
Not
I
a
feel
Jenny
like,
beer.
You know what? I feel like that would pair really good. I don't judge me if you want. I don't care. My mind's going like split right here. It's either a Line and Google's Summer
Summer
Shandy
Shandy.
or
Oh.
like an Angry Orchard.
I would go with the line and
I'm
Kugel.
thinking
I'm a big
the
summer shandy
shandies.
guy, so
I think that would pair
big
very
time
nicely.
summer
Tell you
shandy
what,
guy.
how about somebody out there cooks up a squirrel, just like Nick has told you to, and pair it with
I want you to drink a
Weine
dozen
Kugels.
beers with it, and you tell me which one tastes the best with it.
Yes, 6 and 6. Let us know, okay? I think that's what somebody should do out there. If somebody out there won't do it, I'll do it because it sounds
Sounds like
lovely.
we're doing it next Saturday.
Smatter days.
But yeah, so definitely get out there, get your squirrel, fry it up. It's delicious. I'm telling you, I've also had it in eggs, but I'm not going to get into that because we're just frying tonight. But I think it's time. I've had enough of my smoke break.
You're all
get
done
getting
getting
after it.
fried?
Yeah, I'm done getting fried, and I think Jared is finally going to answer Tom's question.
Well, which one?
He didn't even ask the second one yet.
I have not answered any of them completely yet. We have gone down
We were
some
at the
roads.
tail end of the cadences of
Right,
the
my
squirrels.
squirrel call, like I said, does a few different calls, and we started going down the Dobbler wobbler, and
Now, so is it different when squirrels go into rut?
oh yeah, oh god, yeah, you better believe it. And that time is about. It's very similar to deer, actually. You know, if the bucks are rutting, squirrels are right there with them. Okay?
Love is in the air. And
Exactly.
Cupid's
Everybody
just
wants a
flinging
piece.
arrows.
You're letting fly. Okay, you're
Cupid
going in
is
the
letting
woods.
fly. I like it.
Cupid is letting fly in the woods, in the deer woods, the squirrel woods. It doesn't matter. If you're out there, there's love in the air. Okay, you are pretty much Cupid. Okay, you're gonna let that arrow go. But anyways, you're going to do the whole 7 to 10 seconds or whatever, and then shut up. And like I said, usually if you do it right the first time, you get the nice little consistent, and then you throw a little jazz on it. You know, the right there, and it's done. I'm
That's
telling
nice.
you, done.
It's
son.
all ogre.
That's done. Yeah.
You done,
You're
son?
gonna hear by the time you finish that sequence, you're gonna hear that sound off. And I really wish I had my call to make this because I really just don't think I can do it with my mouth.
I
We
think you should
believe
try
it.
it.
You don't need to try it.
Thank you, Frank. I'm not gonna.
I think
I'm not gonna do
2/3
it.
vote says you should try it.
I think we're at 50-50.
I think it's
a
50-50.
There's
Jared
four at the
doesn't-
table.
I'll get the call and I'll do it for you on that next time. So
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. Exactly.
So that's what gets them fired up then.
That's it. If you throw just that little bit of pizzazz in there when you're barking at them, and like I said, it depends on what kind of squirrel you get, what mood that squirrel's in. He's either gonna not do anything, which is very weird.
Now, this is going to sound like a dumb question, like I'm being an ass.
There's no dumb
but
questions. Let's hear it.
Only dumb answers.
Thank you.
The only real time I squirrel hunt is when my buck hunting's getting slow.
Fling a few arrows.
I've heard. I've been on stand a few times and
Yeah.
got Snapchats and texts from you.
There's an
About
arrow
sending
25 feet in the tree.
$40 broad through a squirrel.
Ain't nothing but a thing.
Ain't nothing but a thing. That's
But
right.
so what I'm getting at here is I'm very uneducated. Is there different calls for different breeds of squirrels? Like your fox to reds to grays, is there much difference, or do you got one squirrel call good to go?
Well, like I was saying, this call that I have is supposed to do 3 or 4 different calls, whatever it is. You know, I don't really count the distress call because I don't ever use it. But they tell you to flip it, like use the call in reverse, pretty much for a gray squirrel.
Rhett Daniels brought up a point about blowing, like inhaling on a grunt tube on one of his videos.
I'm sure he did.
He said he gets rid of the plasticky sound in your grunt tube. I swear to God, watch
I'm
it.
Yeah, I
not-
did
I-
watch that.
I'm not saying you're lying. Like I'm
It
actually going
almost
to look
made
that
me
up
start.
as soon as we're done with this podcast.
I'm going to start
but
bringing my grunt tube back out.
I think we should all start having I think you guys that do it every week should definitely start having just a grunt tube, and like I want to hear randomly. If I'm sitting at work listening to this, I just want to hear it.
Get you ready for like buck season. So
Oh
you're just
man!
like,
I mean, I'm already sitting there, just fired up listening to you guys. It's
Baby's
what we
arm
love.
holding an apple.
Yeah, exactly. Nicky Knox over there knows what's up.
oh, he dropped it.
He dropped it. Oh my god!
Boy, that was a leak right there. There's a leak in the pipes.
Why don't you just keep talking about your calling?
I keep getting distracted.
It's easy to do on
The
You'll
here.
many
have that on
species
big
of squirrels.
jobs.
Yeah. It was,
Oh, they
Flip
say
it
that
over.
you can, instead of like whacking the crap out of the dobble wobble, you
Is that what they say?
yes,
On the package.
Their words, not
bold
mine.
letters.
You push down on the dobble wobble, okay? We're not barking, just hitting the top of it. You start by pressing it in and sharply like releasing it.
Whoa.
And it's like a very weird bark. And they say, according to them, that is like a gray squirrel bark. So you can get really into it.
There is different ones for this.
I've never really had a difference in either one. I've shot all of them just doing my sequence, just double wobbling. Like if you're feeling fruity, it's cool because you can almost make it sound like two different squirrels, I guess, barking at each other.
That makes a lot of sense.
And
I've always thought about that with buck hunting too. So like when I did use a grunt tube, when you're like kind of doing a cadence of, I try and paint that picture, and maybe that's my problem.
Paint me a Birmingham.
Yeah.
Do it.
Just the way it sounds.
Exactly.
But like when I'm rattling, I probably look like an idiot because I'm rattling and I've got my grunt tube in my mouth and I'm not holding it. It's just by my lips and
bobbing around like a cigarette.
Like while I'm rattling to try and paint that picture, two bucks fighting, because like I've watched bucks fight and there is a little bit of grunting going on, and I just wondered if there makes any difference of like, if I turn my head and make it sound like the buck's coming from here and then over here. Same with your squirrel calling.
Not so much with the squirrels. Honestly, it's they're gonna sound off. They're gonna let that. I really wish I could make that noise, but
You can.
I can't.
I have
Tom.
faith in you.
You'll know it when you hear it, okay? Because if you hear this noise, they're gonna sound off like they got a pair, okay?
Which I'm sure they do.
Oh, they do. Not for long, but they do at the time. They're gonna sound off, which is like a really crazy little.
Just do it forever. If you
I don't
can't
even
describe
know.
it, do it.
You don't have to do it.
White says I don't have to do it.
He doesn't
I'm not
have
gonna
to, but
do
the
it.
listeners want it.
We'll take a poll and he can do it next time.
I'm gonna do it next time. I'm gonna settle that right now.
He'll do it now.
Or we can try it now.
He's gonna sound off, and you're gonna know this sound as soon as you hear it. Okay, you're gonna know you're.
Wish
you're
the
calling.
listeners could hear it now.
They're gonna hear it next time. Don't worry.
I guess you're gonna have to stay tuned.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna know this as soon as you hear this. In my, I don't even know how many years I've been squirrel hunting now. Quite a few.
35
ish. I'd say 35 is probably a fair number.
Is it a coincidence that that's also your biggest squirrel?
It's not a coincidence. You're gonna know, like, by the time you're done with your calling sequence on this squirrel, your 7-10 on your double wobble, it's gonna sound off, and you are gonna get so fired up. If you're anything like me, you're gonna get so fired up. You're gonna start scanning, because in all the years that I've been squirrel hunting, I have noticed one thing, that when they make this sound, they're heading down the tree. They're coming down, and they're ready to get on the ground. They're investigating whatever that was. You got their interest with that, or they think it's totally, everything's good. You can come down out of the tree. There's nothing here except another squirrel, obviously.
Go here. It's safe. I swear.
Exactly. You
That
have
wasn't safe at all.
You have fooled this squirrel, okay? He is nuts for believing you. And he's going to come running down. You're going to hear that sound. He's going to come down the tree.
I'm not being an ass here either, but could you describe, is it roughly like a different bark, or like...
It's the equivalent to a turkey gobble in the squirrel world. I guess
Okay.
I could. It's a... You take the call and you literally shake it like a turkey.
Is it
gobble.
that really like fast?
Some would call it
like,
a chatter.
I get it
pretty
kind of
much,
is
yeah.
chatter,
It's
like
just a
because you've heard it in the
bunch of-
woods when you're deer hunting.
Yes.
Okay, so that like beep, 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 like over,
super quick.
yeah, faster than I can move my lips.
Exactly. That's why we have a call.
Don't move your lips.
shake the dickens out of that thing, and it's just like when you're going hard on a long beard, and that means they're usually coming down the tree, in my experience. So as soon as you hear that, you gotta start scanning. Like, obviously, you're gonna be able to tell really quick if it's in eyesight. If you hear it 200 yards away, forget it. You're not gonna see them coming down the tree. But if you hear one, let's say within 100, you're in a good spot in the woods, you can see 100 yards.
Yeah,
No
if
problem.
you're in, mostly oaks like you were talking about, it's not
Right.
super thick on the ground level.
Right.
So yeah.
So you hear this, get ready, because the squirrel's coming down the tree. But like I said with the calling, anyways, Tommy, I think they put that in there so that you can like act like two different squirrels. As far as like a trailing bark, I don't think those are real things with the squirrel
a mating
world.
bark.
A mating bark. Just a good sexual chatter. I don't think that's
It's
what's
got to
going
sound
on.
sexy.
No, of
You gotta
course.
make it
Little
sexy.
foreplay chatter.
Yeah.
Do they have a climax chatter too?
You should be so lucky to hear that. Okay, it'll change you. But
We're talking to the guy with the WCOPA Grand Slam.
exactly. Like, get him out of here. What's this guy's deal, Nick? I don't know.
I don't know how he got on here.
I don't know either.
Free and let anybody on these things. But yeah. So to answer that question, Tom, I don't think there's.
As my old tech ed teacher would say, that was the roundabout way to get to that answer.
That was a very roundabout way.
Hey, you
I
guys
think
had
he
a
nailed
smoke
it.
break, and you're satisfied,
I
Tom?
100%.
No, you definitely answered the question.
Oh, okay, perfect.
No, I'm saying it was
Now-
like I said, it was the roundabout way. We got to the end. We got the answer.
I would say it was the right way.
Now Tom did say he had a second question.
Well, there was also the evolution from monkey to man or whatever.
Oh
and
my
that-
God.
That's what it was, though, was that night and hail is where we're at man. Okay.
That is man.
That's the man, the myth.
Monkey was mouth calling it, and then that intermediate
Neanderthal.
where you're kind of like a tadpole was the.
you have a tail, 2 legs, not the front ones
You
yet.
can maybe kill squirrels, is with the old squeaker toy, and then you're gonna graduate from that, and you're
to
gonna
a
get
big
yourself.
old bullfrog.
Yes, you're just you're gonna realize that it's not that expensive. I fully support you buying the Night and Hail Squirrel Call. It's worth its weight in gold.
That's not even a sponsor. That is that good. You're just
Oh yeah,
promoting for
I
'em.
would stick my neck out there for that call. Like, I love it. It is my favorite call. When I bought it, I bought 2. Like,
Whoa.
and
One for each hand.
exactly,
Double wobbling
yeah,
in
I'm
each
double
hand.
wobbling. Don't ever do that motion again with the fake double wobbles. It looked really bad. But yes, I immediately just went for 2 of them. I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna do this. Buy the good call. Bought 2. Love them. Favorite squirrel call ever. I have not had to buy another one since. And
I have one of those same ones you're talking about,
And
and
you don't, but like I
Game
said, yeah,
changer.
it's a very nice call. I mean, I know you guys don't get out and do a whole lot of
no,
small
I mean
game
I
like
definitely
that,
I do
but-
it a little bit, but not. I don't have a WCO PA.
I mean, they don't
Squirrel
hand those
Slam.
things out, so give them out to just anybody. So yeah, Tommy. I mean, there's your monkey to man, and there's your different calls. I suppose. Like I said, I don't believe I'd have to do some more research on you as far as that goes. But all I know is if you go out there and you lay down a sweet
Sounds
ditty,
like you've done your own research out in the field.
I
and
try
have-
to.
That's what I'm saying. You've done your own research and found what works for you, and I think that's more important than what the old laptop says. Because
Exactly,
if it works
like-
for you, keep
yeah.
going. That's actually I think that was one of our Write It in Pens a couple weeks ago. With,
Yeah, that was what my dad said.
Just if it works for you,
Exactly.
keep doing it. And I think
Right.
that's exactly what you're getting at here. Is that
I've kind of weeded through it a little bit.
Yeah.
I've gone out there. I've killed many a squirrel, and
delicious little bastards?
they are. They really are. And like lately, I've been trying to tan them myself. Tried doing that. It worked, I suppose.
Ish.
It was a very not so fun experience.
Now, how
but-
did you tan them? Because I've heard rumors that
Oh
you can
my
actually.
God.
Well, you can use the brain. I've heard to make like a tanning oil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
that is
enough-
not what Jared did.
No, I should have. Probably would have been way easier. They say there's enough brain in every animal to tan its hide. Anything. That's what
Really?
they say. Yeah, that's what they say. If you look up tan and stuff, there should be enough brain in any animal to tan its hide.
That's a really cool concept. That's first I've heard that. I've heard that you can use the brain to
There
tan
should
'em.
be enough to do their hide with their brain. That's what they say. I've never tried it, but
I think I'm going to now because that's a really cool concept. That like
That's
their
what they
brain
say.
is a direct correlation to.
what do you think back in the olden days when they were doing it? They didn't have
They just went to the trading post. And
yeah, they
picked up
didn't
old
have
tanning oil.
Borax 20 Mule Team or whatever like I used. Okay,
Found out salt does not work. Tried that on a turkey
salt
fan one
will
time.
dry them very well, but it does not turn them into leather. It won't do it.
So what did you do?
I used the borax. Borax. Is
So
that
what did
borax?
you start with?
What did I start with?
Eggs.
Oh yes, I did.
Is this a
Oh,
home
man.
remedy that
Yes.
you made up yourself, or
No.
is there research involved?
There, I guess you can call it research. I looked up.
There was a YouTube video.
There was a YouTube video, and I had never
Damn
tanned
near
a
get
hide.
a college degree on YouTube
And,
anymore.
That's what I thought, but boy,
Not
was,
in squirrel tanning.
Boy, was I wrong. Yeah. So I looked up. Once again, I'm a cheap ass, and I was like, how can I tan this squirrel for like $0?
He
Like,
called me and asked how much it was to
had a
send one to
brain.
USA Fox and Fur, and I was like, yeah, it probably cost, you got to pay to ship it, and they have different prices for different animals. And he's like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Just gonna get a carton of eggs for 84 cents and do this my damn self.
So while you bring up the eggs, this is totally off topic. One time,
Of course it is.
I was at a supermarket one time, and I had like a gallon of milk I was getting, like on my way home from work, and this lady in front of me had a expired coupon that like if you bought eggs with some like Bob Evans sausage, you got the eggs for 99 cents.
that's a deal.
Now the eggs normally are like $1.25, and I swear to God I can't, because I started I pulled out the stopwatch on my phone because it was getting that ridiculous. Once I decided this is ridiculous, I better start timing this.
I've had enough.
I hit 7 minutes. So there was several minutes before that, before I rendered that this was ridiculous enough to time it. Of her arguing about, I don't care when it expires, I have it here. It's here. It's not expired. It's here. It still has a barcode. You can get the eggs for 99 cents. I was this close to giving her my old George Washington out of my pocket and just get her the hell out of my way. And then she's like, apologize. I'm so sorry. I'm like, yep. Not in a hurry. Not at all.
Clearly you're sorry. You're acting like a fool up there.
But anyways, that was that little short tidbit.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your stories, Nick.
Yeah.
What got us off track? The eggs. That's what
It was the eggs. You picked up 89
yes,
cent
cents.
eggs.
Yes, I got a
84
hold of.
cents. Jeez, that was
Dude,
a nickel off.
I was pinching pennies. Okay, like how can I make this into the nicest leather anybody's ever seen and not spend a
any
dime?
money.
And I damn near did it. Like, I spent a couple quarters on some eggs, but
So you borax and eggs? Is that what we're getting at?
It started with just
it
eggs.
started with just. This was a nightmare. Okay,
well,
this
there
was
is
a
a little
learning,
bit of chicken brain in an egg.
Not enough, apparently.
But the problem is you're using a chicken brain
To do a
for
squirrel,
a squirrel,
the
and you
hides
have to
don't
use
match
the chicken brain.
Brains don't work. It just you can't. It's cross contamination.
up. Cross-mogenation.
Exactly. And didn't work. So I get the eggs, I watch this video, and the guy made it seem super easy, of course. And so I'm like, yep, fire up the old Ferd, head up to Walmart, and get some eggs. And then
What
I'm
size
like,
eggs?
Extra large. Double A.
probably.
Brown or
Whatever's
white?
cheaper. Whatever. White, obviously. And
I'm just curious.
You're not eating them. You're tanning hides with them.
yeah, white.
Well,
White is
You
right.
were saying you wanted the best hide, and I didn't know if
The
there was a
guy
difference.
in the video used white.
He used
so-
white, and you went with white.
So the eggs
The
I'm
eggs-
looking for is a white.
White?
Yes, so that's what I
Saying
bought.
what white?
And yeah, so I watched the video like 4 times. I'm like, there's no way I can screw this up. He's literally just putting eggs and he's working it into this hide, like for hours. Like I knew this was gonna take a while, but apparently the finished product was like a bit of all right. You know what I mean?
He cut the video and like sent it out to a tannery,
He
brought it back. Like,
must
so I just rubbed eggs
have.
over this for 3 hours.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. That's exactly what happened. He's like, well, we've got the eggs on them, and poof, here's your leather. And guess what? It
Not a very good poofer.
it didn't work like that. I rubbed egg yolks into this.
Oh, so
squirrel.
you have to separate the whites from the yolks?
I cracked them all in there and just kind of
That's
scooped
probably your
them. You know what I mean?
problem.
You're supposed to just use the yolk.
And you use
apparently.
the egg whites? to-
No,
oh my-
no. Are you? Can I finish one damn story?
I'll let you
Probably not.
finish.
Probably not. I spent 4 hours, I'd have to say, rubbing egg yolks into the squirrel.
One squirrel.
How many fingers do you use to massage a squirrel's hide?
All of them.
Just really work it in there?
Oh, no, like, I mean, you're stretching the hell out of this thing, and you're supposed to really work it into it. And then somehow, by some squirrel ass magic, it's supposed to turn it into leather. Guess what?
Like
It
over the
does
course of 4
not,
hours, it's
Tom.
supposed to become leather?
Like, you're going to work the eggs until you're pretty much out of eggs. They're going to dry up. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
the yolks are going to just crumble away.
How many eggs?
Oof. I'd have to go back and check tape on that one for you.
And I'm sure nobody's writing this down because clearly.
Well,
it
this
didn't
is clearly
work.
not a write it in pen
Yeah.
moment, anyways. So
We're gonna get to that later.
maybe
Oh, it's happening.
if we get there sometime this decade, but
It's the fresh start of the decade.
Exactly.
So we got a lot of time.
I don't remember how many eggs it was. It was a lot. I remember that because I was
Like a dozen or.
I think it was a full dozen at least.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of egg yolks, and
What'd you do with all the whites?
poured them down the drain. I don't know what I did with them. I wasn't concerned with the whites. So I fire up like, I don't know, Netflix or something stupid, or the radio. I don't even know what I was doing, but I was like, I got like 4 hours apparently I got to kill, so like let's make this happen. So I did it, and all it did was the yolks got dry, started crumbling up, falling off of it, and it stained the squirrel yellow.
Could be some rare like color phase.
Needless to say, I was not very happy. Fool me once, and they did. Okay.
Jared's like, maybe I didn't rub long enough. Let me just grab another squirrel.
Let me grab a bunch more eggs, and glad you liked that, Tom. I was pretty
See, this is the
upset.
first I'm hearing of this story.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't go out telling everybody. There's trial and error, baby.
I
Some
think
adult
I was
secrets.
me and my dad were the only ones that knew.
And they kept
Well,
the
and you're-
secret
you're
like they were
talking-
supposed to.
Yeah, Uncle Frank has tanned many hide in his day.
And he had never heard about the egg. Should have been a big red flag, I know. But
You probably talked to him after you turn your squirrel yellow.
No, he talked to him
No,
before,
yeah.
but he was like, "Yeah, I never heard of that, but
You're-
let me know how it goes."
yeah, that's exactly what he
That's
said. He's
exactly.
like, let me
Your
know how
dad
it
would
goes.
do that too. Your dad's very good at like if he's never tried it, he's
Being
not
a
going to tell you
dick.
it's not going to work. He's going to let you try it and tell him
Go-
that it's not going to
Go
work.
ahead and waste that dozen eggs. Let me know
All
how it works.
94 cents of them.
Um,
Unless you buy Bob Evans sausage with it a month before you got the coupon.
we're not going down that road. Coupons. But, yeah, so it stained it, yellow.
Are you talking the fur or like the hide?
Well,
No,
I
the
did
hide.
I did it with hair on though, so it was a mess. Let's just leave it at that, okay? You've got a squirrel
Covered
with
in
all
egg.
its hair. It's like making squirrel French toast. If that puts it, if that can paint a
Put a
picture
little bit
for
of
anybody,
cinnamon, nutmeg on it, and you're ready to pour
just
some syrup on
imagine
it.
you've got yourself a squirrel laid out, all nice, and you're.
Hideout fur in.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for clearing that up.
Oh, so you socked them.
I socked them. This, I know everybody here can't
Oh, that's
see it.
the one
but-
right there?
No, that's what I was trying to. This is what I was trying to achieve. Clearly,
That's an egg
everybody-
yolk tan right there.
That's it. That is not an egg yolk. Maybe it was brown eggs. Maybe that's where I screwed. But,
we're going to coin that as a yolk tan.
Yolk Tannum.
Yolk tana.
That'd be my new hunting name. Yolk Tannum.
That's going
I
to be a
love
thing.
it. Trademark.
That is
Yeah,
catchy.
hashtag yolk tannum.
Hashtag Yolk Tannum. Hit me up.
No longer Letfly.
We're dropping that right now.
How you
Never.
doing? Yolk tannum here.
Yolk Tannum here. I love that. It just didn't work out like that. I had myself, like I said, like squirrel French toast. Just dried up egg yolks. 4 hours of my life wasted. I don't even think the show I was watching on Netflix was any good. And that was just a bummer. I was like, I ran out of eggs. I made a friggin' mess, like everywhere. Like
Now, did you just like on the coffee table or something, or did you at least pull out a tray?
I was down in my room and I had like a bed. Because I was like, where am I gonna sit for 4 hours to do this? Like
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Exactly. Like, and I'm like, once I delve into this, it's gonna be a mess. Like, I need to be where people can't see me. So
Don't
like,
want to look like a complete
yeah, I'm like,
fool
I'm
to
gonna go
everybody.
figure
I
this
don't know
out.
why I didn't think of this earlier.
Okay, okay. Yes. So I've got the egg yolks on the squirrel for
Uncle
hours.
Frank, this is Jared with the pretty boy smile.
And the egg yolks.
I need you to do something.
It's a dentist emergency. But yeah, it did not work. If anybody out there was thinking about tanning a squirrel, don't use eggs.
And
I'm just
report
gonna-
the guy that made the video. Get
You
that
can go
guy
ahead
off
and
there.
report.
That's
I mean,
ridiculous.
if he's out there listening, and if he's out there somehow getting wind of this,
He's
hey,
probably tuned in right now.
if he's tuned to, it wouldn't surprise me. But if I did something wrong,
This podcast is the best thing since yolk tanning.
I believe you're right. if he's out there listening to this and he's getting all fired up listening to it, I'm knocking him. I'm not knocking you. Maybe your
Nicky
eggs
Knox
were,
is, that's for sure.
Nicky Knox is in the house. I couldn't make it happen. The eggs it's a no for me, dog. Didn't work. So I would.
So how did you end up tanning them?
Well, once I
So
washed
did
the
that ruin
eggs
it?
back off.
Okay, that's,
So this tan's been
after
good.
I marinated the hide.
The French toast is 9 hours old now. Yeah, so we're working with some real fresh content. I mean, the egg yolks, I will, in defense for the egg yolks, it kept it really pliable, I guess. is
Really yolky.
Yes. It didn't, turn into cement. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't
Get
get
real
rock.
stiff.
Yeah, it stayed pretty, was that malleable? Is that what I want to
Yeah.
say? Or
Malleable
Or
is like if you
pliable.
can
pliable, whatever it is. It
Like
was
pliable. Malleable is talking about like
smack it with a
condensing metal.
hammer.
whatever. I'm a machinist. That's how my mind
Or
works.
truck driver.
Truck driver. So anyways, yeah, I could still work the hide, and
Did you flip it over and reverse it?
I tried. Actually, that was the only time I was able to undo the sock.
Did that
and
go
put-
right over your head? That went over everybody's head. You said, let me work it. And I was like, did you flip it over and reverse it?
Oh,
And now
good
I have to
one, dude.
explain it. It's not nearly as funny.
I don't think anybody laughed, but
Nope.
Not a single.
I don't
good
even
one.
get it.
You don't.
you don't understand the reference.
We're just
It's an
gonna
old
move
pop,
right
an
by
old
it.
pop song.
Yeah, we
Pop.
got it now that you've explained it, but you see, nobody.
I still don't get it.
There's gonna be somebody out there that's gonna be like, that was funny, and I don't know why they didn't laugh.
0 people.
Literally none.
Anyways, get the
Borax
egg yolk.
was the
Yes,
next step.
Yes, I had to get all the egg yolk now off.
So you
of
marinated
the
the
squirrel.
hide.
Yes. It's had time. I let it breathe. Didn't turn into leather. Little upset.
Were
so
you- Yep.
What?
No, I was gonna say something stupid again, but I think I'm just gonna let you continue.
Thank
for a
you.
while.
Yeah, why don't, can
Why
you
don't you
finish
just-
one damn
why
story?
don't you let me handle that? I'll say something stupid. But
You've already been talking about tanning a hide with yolks for 20 minutes.
bet money. I mean, had I not just said don't do it, somebody out there would have tried tanning with egg yolks. I guarantee it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, don't waste your time and or money.
Start with borax.
Start with the borax. This process took some doing, but it did work. And now it's like when you think of leather, smooth and nice and yeah, no, that's not what I got out of this. I don't know if the egg yolks ruined it, all the excessive working for 4 hours on the hide, but I washed all the egg yolks off of it and pretty much restarted. I started over with this. Everybody gets one redo. And I used it that day. Washed it up, got it all spick and span again, ready to start. I just killed this squirrel. We threw it back
I
in the
just took this off
It's a
the
redo.
hide.
Yeah, I just took this thing off today. And got the salt out. I dried it a little bit again. And then it's a mixture. Once again, I'd have to go back and check notes on this.
Check tape.
Check tape on it because it's been a year since I've tried to do it. But you mix this borax 20 mule team. I don't even know what the hell it is, really.
It's a laundry detergent.
That's what I thought, but I
It
didn't want to
is.
sound
And
that
we use
stupid.
it too for mainly turkey fans, and
Oh,
turkey
okay.
beards,
Okay.
and turkey feet.
Just drying?
Yep. Yeah, you just stick
See,
it
I
in
just
there
use
and
salt for that. If I did
See,
a
I've
squirrel
had
tail
really
back
bad
in the
luck
day.
with squirrel. Or, I mean, not squirrel. I've had really bad luck with
With
salt.
Really?
On turkey fans. Yeah, it literally just rotted.
Oh, wow. I've never had that
Borax
happen.
every time dries them right out. And I don't know if there's a cleaning. I mean, it's a laundry detergent, so I'm sure
Right.
there's some sort of cleaning agent involved that works with it. But I also use, I mean, this is way off topic, but I use borax as a flux when forging as well. Another cleaning agent.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically there's a, I don't know exactly, it melts and then I don't know what the scientific term is, but it pulls the extracts the
This is very
the
scientific.
discontinuities or the dirt or whatever out of the material before it welds. But yeah, I've never had good luck with salt though. That's a pinch chew.
Sorry for that. I thought Nick was going to talk for a little bit longer.
No, we're just gonna make it awkward for you.
That's fine. It's your podcast.
Take your time putting that chew in.
That's pretty weird because I use salt all the time.
I think your problem is you put one batch of salt on it and then leave it for it to rot.
You're talking to me like I did it, but you're the one that did it with mine, yours, and Joe's turkey fan on our trip to Morrison, where Frank decided not to come turkey hunting.
And you want to know where my fan is? Hung up on the wall.
Yeah, mine's not.
Yeah, because you didn't take the salt off after it absorbed all the fat and oils, and then reapply new salt. If you're going to use salt, once it fills with liquid, you got to scrape the salt off, apply new salt, and it'll turn out just fine.
But I'm glad we got that figured
wise
out.
words from Tom Soboleski.
Yeah.
I love it. I've used salt a lot though, and like on.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with it. As long as you'll see it'll look wet. You scrape it off, put some new salt on there.
Yep. Yeah, like almost sticks. It'll stick to it a little bit, and you just give that a little freshener upper.
Yep.
And
kind of like after you had a chew in for 35 minutes or so, you just
stack a new one on there.
Add a little bit more for a little bit of flavor. You're
That's
good to
right.
go.
Savor the flavor.
shit ain't cheap these days.
No.
But,
Back when I started, I buy 2 cans for a penny.
this,
Is that what you did?
is that what it was?
That ain't the case anymore.
I have some I don't know why they call it cool spearmint these days, but decided it's a special day, doing a podcast, first one ever. So
You earned it.
Went with the I'm getting out there and I'm earning it, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I figured I'd go with the high dollar chew, and never again, because I bought that and like a Red Bull and a thermos of coffee this morning. The thermos is like 78 cents. The Red Bull, actually, I bought 3 because they're 3 for $5.
Can't
three,
go wrong.
3 for $5, so we're looking at under $6 still. And then can of school spearmint, please.
It'll be $18.
Yeah, exactly. Like I extended a 20, and then I had to go back for more. And I'm like, yeah, this is why I'm gonna quit.
Quit tomorrow.
Yeah, if you're out there listening and you're chewing, my advice is to quit for sure. It sucks. It's just expensive. But where were we before Nick just went way off topic? And
I was about to ask my second question.
Jesus Christ.
That was a while back there.
Yeah,
how many questions do you have?
This
for me
is
tonight?
it. This is it right here.
Wow. Okay.
Good.
So we're gonna backtrack a little bit. This was supposed
Best that
to
you refer to the beginning and
It's not
back
a
to
good
the
idea.
end. And back to
Just
the
tell
beginning.
the story.
This was supposed to roll into with the turkey call, or not turkey calling, the squirrel calling.
Get it right.
Squirrel calling on Smatter days. But we discussed it a little bit, but my question was, when you hear that sound off and them squirrels come barreling down the tree and running in on a string, and
Pretty much.
I've seen them, they are shifty. And
I wouldn't lie to you, Tom.
yeah, they are shifty little buggers. And my question is, do you give the squirrels a mat to stop them before you give the squeeze on them?
I'd be lying to you if I said I hadn't done it once or twice. I don't do the meh. I do the bap. Just because it's a squirrel, you could spit on the ground and it would stop and have a listen. But what is the name of that movie on Netflix?
The greatest hunting story ever told or something?
No.
That's Catching Deers on YouTube, Tom.
I know which one.
No, with what is his name? James Brolin or Josh?
No, that's
Brolin?
the most famous hunting
Brolin,
story.
yeah.
Josh or James? Is it Josh?
I think it's Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin with Legend of a White-tailed Deer Hunter, something like that. It's on Netflix. Oh my God! If you haven't watched it, do it tonight.
The guy that takes his son out hunting and they go camping and shoot that monster. We'll try to shoot
that big
yeah.
non-typical.
Oh yeah,
that's
I know the one.
Yeah, and when he's stopping all the animals at the very beginning, he that's what I like to do out there. It's really dumb, but guess what? There's nobody else there to hear it, so I let it fly.
And you've had success stopping squirrels with the.
Oh my God! In my days, recently, I've done it all with the squirrels except for the albino and the white.
Could you clarify the difference between an albino and a white?
I'm
a little confused.
I looked
to be honest
into
right
it
now.
I looked into it a little bit myself because I I actually looked up where I could take a trip. I was prepared to spend $1,000, like if need be, to take a trip. And I tried to get my cousin Andrew. Hopefully, we can get him on here someday. I tried to get him to go on a trip to. It was actually in Missouri, where apparently that is the most like populated area with albino squirrels. I think it was albino, not white. They were albino squirrels.
Must be something in the water.
I think it is something they put in the water. Something about the acorns down there. But
Maybe they only eat white acorns.
maybe of them white perch trees, and so yeah, nobody wanted to go, obviously, because nobody's just into the squirrel hunting like I am.
So you're just a squirrel animal, and people just aren't in it like you are.
I wanted to do it. I'll get back to the black squirrel, how I showed him off in a minute, but I wanted to go take a trip, and then I started doing some research on him a little bit more. Like, okay, I've identified where I can find this genus, and and I'm like, I'm gonna go kill it. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna have it on the wall. It's gonna be good. You know, I'm gonna have them all. And then it's like, no, Missouri is like, you're not gonna shoot our white squirrels or albino squirrels. Apparently, that like you can get a big fine for even like hitting them with your car. It's there on the internet. I don't know how true it is, but
Everything on
Everything.
the internet you see is true.
exactly. So it's got to be true.
Was that like on their DNR website that it's illegal?
I don't even know what rabbit hole I went down to get to that page. It was just like, don't do it.
Just started Googling stuff and ended up on a page that
I
said,
literally typed in like, where can I shoot albino squirrels or white squirrels? Like, where can I do that? Where's it legal to do that? And it was like,
They're in Missouri, but don't do it.
yeah, it gives you a map. You know, it's like, it's called
Get
entrapment.
yourself a new map.
It's called entrapment. And they're like, yeah, there's a ton of them here. Actually, too many. But don't you dare shoot them. And so that's like where that ended. Because we're going to go back to the very beginning. If everybody remembers, this podcast started, I don't know, 4 hours ago. But,
Yikes.
yikes.
Hour and 27 minutes ago and 21,
Okay.
22
That's enough.
seconds.
That's enough. But I took the squirrel to Lynx out in Albion. And he has from, like, the 70s, I think he said it. His old man shot it. It's not a true white squirrel. It's not an albino squirrel. But it is a fox squirrel that has a ton of white through it. It's like, it's almost like a piebald squirrel. It is very, very cool. And like from that day when he showed me that, I talked to him for like a half an hour about it. And he told me like where he shot it, but obviously, or where his old man shot it, and it was years ago. And I'm like, okay, well that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So now I want one. So when I go out squirrel hunt now, I'm very picky, I guess you would say. As stupid as this sounds, I pass on squirrels all the time. I let them walk. Okay,
It's the same as somebody that's a seasoned deer hunter. They let bucks pass.
Exactly. Like when
You've
you
killed
have
tons of squirrels. You've got
when you can lay down that sweet ditty and you can get a squirrel to come bounding by you 5-6 yards away, and you could easily dust them. You pull that scope up if need be, because you really want to look for detail at that point. If you're using that 22, mind you. It's got to be different now. Like when I go for a squirrel, it cannot be just red squirrel or black squirrel, gray squirrel. It's got to have something unique about it. Like it's got to have different coloring through it, something. And it is very hard to find that, apparently.
When you told me about that squirrel you saw at Lynx, I had one back right behind the house. It was probably 10 years ago now. I was back there archery hunting during deer season, and I saw it was a fox squirrel come running by, and it had a huge strip of white from head to the tip of its tail, about an inch wide all the way down it.
Might have been a skunk.
It may have been.
Well, speaking of that, actually,
Here we go.
no, this is it's. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a
I'm
little
sure
bit
it's
of
a legitimate.
sidetrack,
Yeah,
but I got
Get
a
'em outta
skunk
here.
one time that I thought was albino, and
Crazy. I've got an albino skunk story of my own. So
well, this
delve
one
into
was
that.
it was a
it's not an albino.
I thought it was, but turns out skunk's all black except for that white strip across its back. Well, this skunk when I shot it, it looked completely white, and I was like, oh my god, like I got a full albino skunk.
Oh my god.
This is gonna be crazy. And then when I found it, it was like
A regular
black.
skunk.
no, it was like all white except there was like a strip of black on its belly. It was like a reverse skunk. Like it did not look like Pepe Le Pew at all.
That's
It smelled just like a regular skunk.
I bet
though.
it did. Real quick, my story. I'm sure when Andy listens to this, he'll be laughing his ass off.
Is Andy a listener of the podcast?
Oh yeah, Andy's a supporter in what you
Good
guys
to-
are doing here.
good to hear.
Oh, he enjoys them, as do I, and that's why I'm super pumped to be on here. But we, this was back. I used to be such a cheap ass. I don't know why. They were on this lease out there in Corey. My family, like my cousin, my dad, my uncle, they were all on it for a year or two before I was on it because I didn't want to pay the money for it. And it like so stupid. But that year that like they were all on that lease and I wasn't, I tried doing some game lands hunting again because we were really good at hunting the game lands out on PA New York state line. You know, Wattsburg Road
Yeah,
and State
I've
Line Road.
dabbled in those
it's-
areas with
and
you.
now that's literally like between my lease and your guys' property in Clymer. Like that road, like State Line Road, is
We're
pretty much
talking headquarters of Whitecat Outdoors.
exactly HQ. I did a lot of hunting there, like growing up, was out on game lands, because we never had leases. Nobody, that wasn't a real thing when I grew up, and now we have them and everything, and it's awesome. But they were on this lease. I didn't. You know, we abide by the rules. You know, it's like, oh, it's family. We can't let you come out here, though. You know what I mean? Like, you're family and we love you, but we pay too much money for this lease. And if they get caught sneaking somebody onto it, it ruins it for everybody. You know, so it's like, it's not even close to being worth it. So don't even try it. But, so Andy went out with me to, what's the name of that road? It'll come to me. But
You don't want to give that.
yeah,
Directive of
that
detail
used to
away.
that's where the squirrel hunting really started, was on that road. Actually, I spent a
We'll
lot
just
of
call
times
it that
there
road then.
on the camps roads,
It was Base Camp Road
pretty
out
much.
of that town,
And
some county.
me and my other cousin Mitch, we have slain I don't know how many squirrel out of them woods, and it's basically spot's tapped. Okay, you go in there now, good luck finding a squirrel. We ended that, but we go in there because I need a spot for opening day of rifle. Like when I first started rifle hunting, I was a rifle hunter. You know, it sucks to say it, but I never was into the archery like when I grew
Oh,
up.
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
It's something
it's
I
not
always,
where I'm at, but I mean,
I
it's-
grew up with my old man didn't archery hunt, nothing like that. Like my cousins were the only two people like in our family that archery hunted. So it was
I
like
love the tradition of rifle hunting.
Mhm.
I'm way more into archery, and I really try and fill my tag in archery season. But the tradition of rifle hunting, you know, like the
Right.
hunting camp,
right.
buck stories.
Watching
know-
Escanaba into moonlight the night before. Oh,
We were
oh,
big on
man.
watching the Incomplete Deer Hunter with,
Hey.
with Jeff Foxworthy. That was, but I mean,
You
just the
got your
hunting.
you don't mess with traditions, okay? But yeah, so like I grew up with just all rifle, so I really look forward to opening day of rifle. Not gonna lie, like archery, I love it. I'm so glad I do it now, but it was always rifle. Like that was the big thing. My old man would get fired up. You know, everybody got fired up for opening day of
Oh,
rifle.
of course.
Orange Army, baby. And,
Hell yeah.
yeah, I was part of that.
I think we celebrated opening day in New York pretty darn
We
well.
sure did. We celebrated.
we did.
There was a lot of
It
celebrating.
was a good old
a little
time,
bit of
wasn't it?
hunting.
Man, that was a blast.
What a weekend!
38 seconds or so of on stand time, but you know,
You
it
didn't
all
give your
worked
feet
out.
a chance to get cold.
No, God no. And I mean, I could have smoked a doe, but I didn't go there for a doe. We went for antlers, but
Frank was smoking monster bucks.
yeah,
and
unfortunately,
Sometimes
Actually-
you got to do it.
Whitey just yeah,
Did you
there
see it?
she
It's
is,
sitting
right
right
there,
here,
It's
right at the
right
table.
there, and wow, I'm glad I was part of that. Not gonna lie, but
It was a good time. We had fun.
So, anyways, yeah, they're on this lease. I need a spot for opening day because it's like, okay, you guys, cool. You're not gonna let me hunt on your property. That's whatever. Thought we was fam, but No,
no,
I
I'm not
get
gonna
it.
pay for it. I just
Exactly.
want it to hunt it for free. Jesus, like
Yeah, it's me. It's Letfly.
you should be paying me to come hunt your property
Exactly. Like,
for promotional reasons.
yeah, if anybody's gonna shoot 140, it ought to be me. But so Andy goes out there on the camps roads with me, and we go into the old squirrel woods, and we did some scouting around and just found a nice little bottleneck. And I'm like, you know what? This is it. So me and Andy spent I don't know how long, cleaning this spot. It was like 2 fallen down pines, like big ass pines, like laying like a X almost, like they fell on top of each other. And so it was really nice and like hid your lower body, which was cool. And we just kind of brushed it in, cleared some lanes out and stuff. And I'm like, this is where I'm going opening day. Like this was like 3 days before, like
So
coming
you guys
down
were
to
well
the
prepared early on.
yeah, like we're all about being prepared. But so opening day rolls around. I was like, it's public land, so I'm like, I got to get out there early because if I don't, somebody's going to be shining me with a flashlight, and I'm not having it. I have almost fought people for shining me with a flashlight in the woods before, turkey woods. That's another story on its own. But
Part 2 of the Letfly podcast.
I could talk to you guys forever about hunting stories, but so I'm going in. I don't know what sunrise is during rifle, what legal shooting hours, but I got to I pulled up, parked my truck. I look at my clock. It's about 3:30.
I'd say you were plenty early.
So
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's a little bit away from shooting hours.
I'm
Now,
like-
I don't remember the year that you were doing this. But
about 6 years ago.
Yeah,
it hasn't changed that much though.
Yeah, I mean, like, it
Sunday
varies
don't-
year to year, but I think
Couple
not that
minutes.
much.
Anyway, so I'm like, well, good news is I beat everybody here. There is not a single car anywhere. People are sleeping still for opening day. And I'm like, I'm going to go get in the woods. And it was raining, and it was a shitty opening day. I remember that. I was like, this really sucks.
It's a good thing you got there at 3:30.
Yeah. I sat in my truck for a little bit, but then I
5
was
minutes.
like,
Better head out there. It's getting
Exactly.
late. Better get out to my stand.
Exactly. I don't know where my head was at, but I'm like, it's time. Like, let's get our
It's
gear.
going to be light in 8 hours. I better get out there.
Pretty much. So I'm walking in. It had to be no later than 4 a.m. Like walking into the woods, and we were just there 3 days ago, or whatever. But now it is raining, and I've got
dark.
Yes, I've got gear everywhere. Got rifle, chair, backpack. I think I had like a cooler or something because I
So
was
you had a
pulling
packed
all-
lunch. I mean, opening day.
I was going for all day. You know what I mean? Like I was planning on sitting here.
Probably
all
brought
day
enough sandwiches to last you till 9.
to the next day, and I'm walking in. I get, 40 yards off the road, maybe 50. And I'm shining my light. That's another thing. So, I got everything in my hands, and then I got a flashlight. And I'm shining it like one of them cheapo little 2-inch long LEDs that are supposed to be awesome, but they suck. And I'm shining it, kind of like trying to figure out where I'm at in these woods because I've never walked in the pitch black
Like,
raining.
that was a tree. And that one over there, that's
Right.
another tree.
Yeah, that tree looks familiar right there. So I'm walking like where I think I'm supposed to be going. Obviously, sunrise is not an option to help me out where I'm at. And I catch these eye shines, and I'm like, there's no way that was a deer. Like, it was way too small. I'm like, maybe it's a rabbit, Maybe it's a squirrel. Who knows? But it very soon made itself clear what it was. It was a skunk. And I'm packed, okay? My hands are full. I've got things hanging off of every shoulder, rifle on my shoulder. It's raining. I'm not having fun. I'm like, that's an effing skunk. And I just sit there. This thing is probably 30 yards away from me at this point. And I'm like, maybe he'll just leave. That'd be really cool. Nope.
Maybe he'll just come right towards me.
And sure as shitzel, he starts coming for me. Okay, now I don't want to say I got charged by a skunk, but I got charged by a
He's
skunk.
coming right for us.
Exactly, and the gun was not an option. First of all, it's opening morning of rifle. I'm not going to discharge my firearm at 4 a.m. Doesn't look good.
We've all been there.
You hear those guys when that gun goes off way before daylight, and you're like, okay.
No, I don't know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Right. We'll leave that as it may. But I'm like, oh shit. What do I do in this situation? So I start backing up because guess what? I'm not about to get sprayed with no damn skunk opening
Good cover
day.
scent though.
Nope. I'd rather not.
Only for hardcore guys. If you're not that hardcore, I get it.
Guess what?
Not
I
most
was
aren't.
not that hardcore at the time in my life.
Still not.
Still not, yeah, for the record. Yeah, oh yeah, it charged me big time. So I'm backpedaling like a son of a bitch. I'm almost back to the road at this point. And
Keys are in the ignition. I'm almost home.
this thing almost drove me right out. I'm like, I need to, right where he's at, I need to go.
Oh, just let me just squeeze by you.
Mm-hmm. And he was relentless. He just kept coming for me, and I finally got to the point where I yelled.
Go on, get.
I backed into a tree, and I'm like, I'm screwed. This is it. Still 30 yards and closing. This thing is coming for me. I hit a tree, and I'm like, okay, I'm dead. Like, in my mind,
I am dead. This
in my
skunk's gonna
mind,
kill me.
Yeah, this skunk is about to murder me for some reason in my mind. That's where I was at. It was dark and raining. I don't know. Fear. Fear just took over. But as he starts getting real close, the light is actually working now. He's in where I can see his body, not just, little eye shines and catching. This thing is white. I mean, let me tell you, white as anything, like as this PBR can, okay?
The one that
White.
had the foam
The
coming out
explosion,
the top?
yes. I would stand by it 1,000% that this was a true albino skunk. Like, not a speck of black on it. And I started shouting, and at this point, my deer hunting day is about shot, I think. Okay, I'm here 7 hours early. Maybe they'll calm down when I get into the spot finally. But for now, I'm just trying to survive. And
Squirrel's
It's
gonna kill
definitely
me.
a life or death situation.
now you guys have seen like TV shows. I don't know if you've ever experienced it, like a brown bear standing up, like when you make a noise. Okay, this skunk straight up stood up. And I about shit.
He was
Like,
a
I'm not gonna lie.
10-footer.
What's going on, man? What are you doing?
Like, square up. And I'm like, nope. I'd be like, nah. And I'm shouting at this thing like, hey, get out of here. Like, I'm freaking out. I sound like an idiot. If there had been anybody else there, I would have probably had to kill them so that this story never got out. But
But you
Well,
decided to
good
make
thing
it
it's on the
you-
internet
you,
now.
you
It's
publicize it
it's
for everyone.
okay. For the boys.
This is worldwide, by the way.
For
We
the
have a
boys.
listener over in Ireland
I heard, which is very impressive. I don't know if they
and
got...
Asia.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually our buddy Brandon. I'm just gonna shout him out. Brandon Siciliano. I don't know. You probably know B Silly, but B Silly's over in Timor Leste. It's like I don't know what that means,
What's
but
that?
it's in Asia. Well, one day I was like, cause I check in on our
Speak
stats and
English
stuff,
good
and
like
I
what
mean,
I do.
I don't want to get into like our stats too much, but I noticed that we had a few downloads out of Timor Leste. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, it's Asia. Like, what are we? And then like an hour later, my buddy was like on Facebook, and his location was Timor Leste. I'm like,
We got it
That-
now.
We got it.
target acquired.
Target acquired.
Anyway,
Back
so
to
you
back,
got this
boys.
albino skunk
That's what the
that's
skunk
getting
was
ready to
saying to
shank
you.
you.
It stood up after I started yelling, like hind legs, and I'm like, this is the most craziest thing I've ever had happen to me in my entire life. Like, nobody will believe this, and nobody did. Like, everybody laughed. Andy, I know you laughed your ass off.
I've been in the same scenario with stories people don't believe, but I think we're going to save
Like,
that
dude,
for my hot seat.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, dude, this skunk straight up charged me and then challenged me. Like, he wanted to drop gloves with me and like duke it out.
His
Gloves
gloves
were
were
off.
off.
Yeah, he was ready.
Eric knows where I'm at.
He was ready for a tilly, but I
come up
wasn't
the
having
laneway.
it. And luckily, I was just shouting enough. It dropped down to its natural 4 legs and scampered out of there.
It's like a transformer.
Oh God, dude, it's like Vietnam flashbacks. I can relive that day like so perfectly. It scared the shit out of me. But yeah, that's my albino skunk story. Sorry we keep going down rabbit holes here.
Skunk holes.
Skunk holes for the lapers. Yeah, and I don't know where we were going before that, but
Yeah, Nick's pretty good at getting us way off topic.
Yeah, and I'm not really good at bringing us back either.
anybody remember where the hell we were?
I mean, obviously the main part of this podcast has all been about squirrels and everything, but
Right.
I think it's unfair if we don't talk about your deer season as well, because you're also a very decorated deer slayer.
Here we go.
And I don't think we could. I mean, we've been going for a while, but I don't think we could close this podcast out without talking about.
Just tell us your quick.
No, I don't even want to quit one.
Yeah,
quick
just
one.
tell us about your deer season.
I say it every podcast. We pay to be able to post as much content as we want. So we don't put a timer like, oh, Jared, you hit a certain time. We're gonna have to close her out.
Mr. Marsh.
Close her out. So yeah, I mean, we've been talking a lot about squirrels, and that's been the main focus, of course.
Right,
Because
and
I mean,
you've
that's
taught us a lot.
You are the WCOPA Squirrel Slam. You were the first one that's ever
I
been put in
welcome
the
all
book.
challengers.
And I think it's unfair to not cover your deer career as well while we've got
The
you
whole
on.
career.
Nah, I mean, let's just give a highlight because we can always bring you back on
Okay.
for, deer tour.
Just a
Hashtag
quick rundown,
Letfly.
Obviously rifle. I've always been rifle. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the wall. Picking up my 5th one Wednesday, hopefully, actually, from Steve Skripzak of Heads and Sheds. It's on East Grandview Boulevard, I believe is where that's at. If you're looking for Lynx is really good too. I do like Lynx's work. He does a really good job. But I take my deer to Heads and Sheds, and if you're looking for a decent taxidermist, I fully recommend it. He's a good dude. So first buck on the wall was obviously nothing impressive. I shot a buck with my grandfather, and he was like, we're gonna get that mounted for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think your taxidermy should necessarily be judged solely on the size of it. I think a lot of it has to do
No.
with the memory that is tied
Exactly.
to that deer. I mean, obviously, big bucks you want to respect with a mount,
Right.
but when you have a buck that has a really special story to it, I think it deserves something extra.
Right.
If a European mount is what you classify as extra, fine. But I mean,
European mount is what I was intending to do this year until I shot my biggest deer this year, biggest buck to date. So, like, the first one was just a little 4-point with my grandpa though, and it was quite the story.
120-inch 4-point,
basically,
just shy of Pope and Young.
It's 4 points. You're looking at 100 inches on its head, no problem. No, this is a little first buck ever.
Your typical non-dominant 4-point.
I'm using my 243 Youth Model Crackdown, okay? I love that gun. Everybody used to joke, especially Andy, asked me if I won that in a Cracker Jack box. Guess
it
what?
came with a tattoo.
guess what? I have dropped some deer with that gun in my day. I love it. If you're looking for a good, solid little rifle to start deer hunting, fully recommend a 243. If you can shoot straight, just like Big Frank, likes to say, shot placement. You get a gun, excuse me, that works for you. But 243 was my bread and butter when I started out. So, anyways, this Crackdown, obviously 1 bullet, that's it. And when I climb up into the tree stand with my grandpa, excuse me, he makes me. Well, he didn't make me. I mean, at the time, he's like, when we climb up in the tree stand, we unload our gun. Okay. Guess what I still do to this day because of that.
That's a great thing.
I unload my rifle when I'm climbing up a tree stand.
I do the same thing.
Just because of what my grandpa taught me way back when. But this 4-point comes in. I am shaking. Oh, man. First
Tommy
buck.
knows all about that.
Oh,
I do know the feeling.
So you know what I'm going through right now. Like, first buck, Grandpa's here. We're about to smoke this fool. Guess who forgot to put the bullet back in their 243?
Was it you?
I was going to say, yeah.
It was Letfly.
Show of hands, who thought it was Jared Larsen?
Oh, they're all
All
up.
hands are up.
So my grandpa's like, there it is. Smoke him. Like, that's a 20-yard shot.
Wax him.
He's like, end him. And I'm like,
You're done.
I'm going to do it. Right now, it's going to happen.
Grandpa, watch this. It's about to,
Are
it's
you
about
watching?
to go
I'm
down.
Click. And that deer looked right up at us. And I'm like, this is it. This is where I'm no longer a hunter.
Like, wow, I didn't feel or hear that shot at all.
Is he dead? No, he was very much alive and alert, looking
funny.
right at us.
It's interesting to see how the deer will react now that he's alert.
Now that he's alert, exactly. So thank God it was a little 4-point, yearling deer that just didn't know any better. He looked at us for 30 seconds. I don't know. It felt like an eternity. Puts his head down, starts going back to doing deer things, just moseying through the woods. And I'm like,
Shit.
no, he gets over to a tree, like a pretty decent sized tree, and his head's behind it. My grandpa rips my 243 out of my hands and puts his 270, which at the time, wow, it
It's
was
a lot
like
of firepower for a young child.
I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is a big gun, like 3 times the length of my 243. And I'm like, okay. He's like, shoot him! Like, gets real aggressive with it. And I'm like, well, you're going to scare the... Okay. Boom! Let that first one go off. I about fell, like, backwards. Was not ready for the 270. And at that time in my life, starts running away. And he's like, shoot him again! Okay. So I rack another shell and whatever. I hit him, got him right above the eye. No, I hit him as he was running away in the head. Not proud of it, but it dropped him. Like, he was done.
Do what you got to do.
Wasn't what I was trying to, but it did stop the deer. So that was like my favorite, I think. That held the record, just being out there with my grandpa for my first buck. We got it mounted, which was just ridiculous. But I have it at home. I look at that deer, and
That's the perfect teaser for a part 2. You got your first buck, and people are ready to hear about the other bucks that are on the wall, and we're gonna save it.
we're gonna save the other bucks.
Yeah, we're gonna save the other bucks, I think.
Okay. Where would you like me to go from there then?
Well, this brings us to the I would say annual, but that means it's once a year.
Oh, I
so
know
the
where we're
weekly Write It in Pen segment
Write
of
It
the
in
Whitecat
Pen.
Outdoors podcast.
Write it in pen.
Everybody that comes on the podcast, we like them to leave us with some sort of tip or life lesson that they live by, whether it be outdoors.
This one's cool.
That was perfect.
Kept that one in the can.
Yeah. All of them have been related to outdoors, but I mean,
Absolutely.
a life lesson is what we're after. So if
I
you had to leave us-
talked to Whitey about this a little bit before the podcast because there's so many you could do with the Write It in Pen, which I love, by the way. I really like the Write It in Pen. I'm told
the
Shaylee
podcast
was-
is a lot of
Shaylee Dillon was
Shaylee Dillon
responsible
is
for this.
Yep.
Yeah,
and,
we gave her. We
responsible.
did give her credit for that early on.
I tell you what, I enjoy it. I've liked listening to them. They've all been really good, I think. So mine, since this is all squirrel, smatter days, small game. If I was going to leave you guys with something, whether you're brand new to hunting, you're listening to this because you're just getting into the outdoors, or you're seasoned vets like all of us sitting around this bar right now, slaying monsters.
Of course.
People these days apparently just think that they are entitled to things. You can people think they can just pick up a bow and go out and slay monster bucks. And yeah, you might get lucky with that every now and then. Some people are just born with that silver spoon in their hand. But I think you need to start off with small game hunting. I actually think it's almost a necessity because it helps you just learn the skills of being in the woods, even if you're not deer hunting. If you're sitting out there squirrel hunting, there's a good chance you're going to see deer, and it's going to get your heart rate going. It's whatever, but if you're out there for squirrel, and if you're anything like me, you're going to get excited. It helps, in my opinion, picking up that movement, subtle movements. You're picking up on what's going on in the woods. You're listening. You're just taking in your surroundings. But it helps you keep your composure. You know what I mean? You're gonna know what to do when that animal that you're after is there. It's ready. You know what I mean? Opportunity meeting preparedness is what I think it needs to be. That's success. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the stakes are a lot lower when it's squirrel hunting for most people. You
Right.
know?
Right.
Instead of, the first time you ever have an animal standing in front of you, it's a monster buck.
Right.
You learn a little bit about the thing that's in front of you when it's a squirrel.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if it's a squirrel or a rabbit or pheasant or whatever. If that's what you're out to hunt, if that's the game you're set on harvesting or killing, I know there was some discrepancy in the
we can
last
say
podcast.
kill. It's a hunting podcast. We did decide we can say kill.
Okay, if you're out to kill a squirrel, when you see that squirrel that you're after, I don't care who you are, you're gonna get excited.
Yeah, it's game on.
Your heart rate's gonna go, even if it's not like a deer where you're shaking your legs or whatever. You're gonna get a little bit of adrenaline flowing, and then when you do that for a couple years or whatever, a season, whatever, it doesn't matter. You just got to get out there and start. You got to crawl before you walk. You need to get out there and just spend the time in the woods, small game hunting, learning how to compose yourself when you're in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
There's no scent control when you're small game hunting or anything like that. Like I'll drink coffee while I'm shooting squirrels. I do it when I'm shooting deer too.
I don't follow scent control very.
Yeah, I don't.
Strictly when it comes to deer hunting, I follow a lot more with wind direction.
Out there, I don't buy it. But as long as the wind's good, you're good.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
As soon as it shifts, though, you might as well leave. Your hunt's done.
You're done.
Yeah, the wind shifts on you, you get out of the woods, out of the deer woods. But I think if I was going to leave you guys with anything for your write it in pen, anything I wanted anybody out there to take away from this is that if you're getting into whitetail hunting at all, if you're seasoned, beginner, whatever, and you're not having so much luck, maybe, shooting big bucks or whatever, that's what you want to do. That's what we all want to do. I think you need to get out there and you need to put the hours in. Just like that short film that you guys shared. I really enjoyed that.
I do, yeah. That's Johnny Utah or John Mulligan. Yeah. I haven't had any contact with the guy, but I follow him on Instagram, Johnny Utah Creative, Johnny Utah. The guy's extremely inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
I
really enjoyed it. I watched
it. He's been on a ton of other podcasts,
right.
And that guy he's been at the highest of highs and the lowest of lows,
right.
And has persevered through all of it. And even with deer hunting and stuff, the guy's just like everybody else. I mean, he's had great seasons. He's had bad seasons.
Right.
His first season deer hunting, he didn't kill booners. The last day of rifle, I think, is what the one video said that he killed for his first doe.
Right.
Just a great guy. Yeah. Work more hours is a great
video.
video.
You got to put the work in
exactly.
to get something out of it. You're not just going to go out there.
You're not entitled to 140 class bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us, like me, still have not had that. I believe I've never even seen a 140 in the woods. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one guy at this table that can say he's put it on the wall.
There's only one white. Okay.
Thank you.
With his 140, and I hope to have a deer that big someday on the wall. That's the game plan, obviously, and yep, it looks good.
We're all looking at it.
But you gotta get the skill set. Like I can argue with Frank for hours on luck when it comes to hunting. Okay,
Some have more of it than others.
firmly believe that there is a fair amount of luck that goes into your hunt. Like I said, we'll save that. That's an argument on its own. But success is opportunity meeting readiness, and if you're out there and you've put the time in, how do you shoot more squirrels? You hunt more squirrels. Okay,
that's a good point.
Put the hours in. You got to get out there and do it. And even if you're not shooting them, it's not a wasted hunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're always learning something.
And there's actually a really good quote that I like. Fred Bear. I really like this quote. If you consider an unsuccessful hunt to be a waste of time, then the true meaning of the chase eludes you altogether.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I love it. I absolutely love that quote.
One of the many great quotes from Fred Bear.
Absolutely. I think it just hits home. Like, that's it. If you're going out there and, if you don't shoot something and you're like, nah, that sucked. I'm not going to be a hunter. This is stupid. No, that's not at all what that's about. But to be successful, you have to have the skills to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and to have the skills, you got to put the time in to learn them. You got to put
the time into it. Yes, absolutely. It doesn't come overnight. If it does, good for you. But the rest of us down here got to, you got to put the hours in, and you got to learn just how to compose yourself in the deer woods and get out there and do it. You get out there, learn every time you go out there. When you, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, pheasant hunting, deer hunting, whatever kind of hunting you're doing, observe just what's going on. If you're out there pheasant hunting and you're seeing turkeys, whatever the case is, or deer and you're seeing squirrel, whatever, you act like it's the game you're after. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not the game you're after, just keep your composure, let that animal do what it's going to do, and observe. Just learn about that animal, what it's doing, how it behaves when it's not spooked. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It doesn't know you're there for the most part, you'd like to think, and just let it be what it is. You know what I mean? And learn from it. So, yeah, my write-it pen would be get out there, put the hours in small game hunting. I truly believe that's something every hunter, even the best, should get out there and do. I don't care if you haven't shot a squirrel in 30 years. Get out there, maybe deer hunt just getting a little stagnant. Just get out there, do some small game hunting. I think it'll really bring you back full circle, get back in touch with what hunting is all about. You know what I mean? And, yeah, I think that would be my write-it pen for everybody.
Right on, buddy. I really like that.
Thank you for that, Jared.
Yeah,
That's a great write-it pen, and we like to leave every episode with a good write-it pen. We do a lot of BSing on the podcast, and that's kind of what we're after. But before the podcast ends, we always like to leave it with something good, wholesome, something to leave everybody with. And, we've been going for quite a while here. It was really fun to have Jared on.
My bad.
And, no, it's good. We
I know we got a little carried away.
Everybody prefers a longer podcast, and I have a feeling that this isn't going to be the last time Letfly's on the podcast.
I tell you what, I was a little nervous coming into it. The whole podcast, talking into this mic. I hope I sound okay.
Sounds beautiful.
I know I've moved my face
Fergie
away from it
Jesus.
a little bit, but Fergie and Jesus, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. I hope that I'm invited back onto the podcast. This has been a lot of fun. I like Norm. I've heard everybody say, I love what you guys are doing. Love the attitude about this. It really is a lot of fun. It's just the next level in everything that we already love to do. So I really enjoy it, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. I've had a lot of fun.
All right. Well, we appreciate that, Jared. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And for all you guys out there listening, you know what to do. Get outside.